Last we left our heroes, with the crow burning away to ash and your timeline dwindling away, you investigated the lair of the hag and found a number of oddities alongside the famed Ring of Winter and, of course, the stolen Warden of the Fae. With your hour nearing its end, Valentine clutched Aetherius close, and you all plane shifted back to Senelise, alongside Titania in the Feywild. You delivered the good news to the Queen of the Summer Court that the crow was destroyed, and Val presented the ring that seemed to be the key to this ritual of perpetual winter that gripped the Feywild. And as she took it, slipping the ring on her own finger, the ring melted away from her hand, and the spell seemingly was broken. The Feywild and the Queen now safe, you all had earned a good night of merriment and rest before returning, almost wistfully, back through Gallifrey with some almost tearful goodbyes, and returned to the Vale. Seemed like mere minutes had passed as you strode through a much quieter and healthier-looking forest than the one you left behind, and you settled in for a night's rest under the stars in the verdant boughs of the Vale. As morning's light first breaks, you've not quite finished your rest, and you will need a few more hours for your full group to get a full rest and be fully prepared for the day. And as that time passes, the sun rises fully, cresting well into late morning as your group fully awakes, and we begin tonight's game. But first, Lavender, you have a level up. So,
baby,
what is the plan for your level up? What are you taking? And let's roll some hit dice.
I am going to take... What's it called again? Disintegrate?
Yeah, that's the spell you're taking.
Powerful.
So you're going to roll, what is it, a d6 for sorcerers?
Yeah, that's right.
So you can roll any one of these d6s you like.
D6, it will automatically on D&D Beyond add your Constitution modifier. A 4 is great.
So where do I add that?
Scott, you want to walk her through going to manage levels, manage HP, just adding the 4, and it automatically adds your con mod. And you've already selected the spell. Do you get any new cantrips or anything, or just the one spell level? I think just the spell level. So,
by the way, Kevin changed his name to Broom Boy on our Zoom. I just want to address that before we continue.
How do we just let that slide like they did?
It's also, if you're watching in the future, this is Halloween. This is our Halloween episode.
It's many, many moons ago now.
Many spooky things.
Like 6 months.
You all awaken and rested, comfortable. Though you do note the temperature, though, like when you cross back through, is relatively warm. You note that as this mid-morning kind of breaks and you all come to consciousness, the air is rather cool and brisk. And you note that that's a little bit of a shift for the temperature and demeanor of the Vale than you're used to, but nothing to worry about. But just something that you all immediately note is it's actually kind of crisp and chilly, where you're used to a near tropical temperature in the Vale.
It is fall, right? Sorry, just to clarify.
Edging closer and closer to winter, in fact, but it is technically still fall. You're all awake. What are you doing?
Also, we just had a long rest, just to be...
Full long rest, yeah. If you haven't already, hit the long rest on your character sheets. All spells, all abilities, all hit points, and our hit die, all that jazz. Any abilities for your different items and things. Get all your charges back if there are any charges associated.
Lavender, what's your HP now?
A 99.
Ooh.
That's one better than me.
Some would say it sucks to suck.
Yeah, just Gord and I with these low HPs now. Great, we're well rested, feeling good. Hondo, you done shadowboxing? You still got to do that, pal.
Well, I've been doing it for 4 hours. I'm fully ready.
Well, shouldn't you have been on watch for those 4 hours?
I believe actually Hondo was sleeping, and the last watch was to be Gord and I think Lavender, but I'm not 100% on the
No, I will.
Yeah, we were watching everything. Don't worry about it.
No,
You woke up, man.
Hondo had the first with he was shadowboxing for his
That's
whole
right.
first wash.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we start heading out towards the
You guys are lost audio. There we go.
We're frozen.
Time out.
Sad.
Wait, you're back? You're back?
Are we
You're
frozen
back?
sad?
Can you hear us?
We can hear you. We can, yeah. Okay.
Your audio did cut out though.
Are we frozen cute or is it
Are
bad?
we cute
You're not frozen
or
anymore.
You're not frozen.
all we
You're-
care about is
You're good now.
Oh,
what
the audio's
fuck
gone
is
again.
happening?
As I was saying, when we get to Endora, well, we have to get to Endora. Francis is waiting. We actually don't really know how long it's been, so we should head there. I mean, I guess we saw those tracks, so we feel like it hasn't been too long, but I'm nervous to find out.
Do we care about Francis still? I mean, do we
Kind of my dad, like stepdad, but kind of my dad.
He'd be dead for all we know.
That's why I kind of want to get back there and find out.
They don't.
why do you always assume that everybody is dead?
Because everyone's useless compared to my amazing abilities.
That's fair, I guess.
They don't have the same survival skills that I do. Well, it's just the truth, you know.
You're the one who charged into the Feywild after you were manipulated, right?
Because you gotta have the element of surprise. You can't just sit around.
Well, as you guys begin to set off towards Endora, who's leading the charge on the way there?
I will do it.
Hondo out front. Throw me a survival check to try and recall the directions of which you need to travel.
Based on his last.
Perfect 20.
Hey!
Good start.
He knows where he's going.
Of your group, Hondo is the captain. Hondo has a pretty good cardinal direction, and he knows that you guys you traveled more or less in a straight line from Endora to Gallifrey, traveling west. Now you just got to switch it up and go straight east. And Hondo, in relatively quick time, leads your party through very light forest, and you find there are no. When you traveled the Vale previously, you found odd obstructions, as if the forest would respond to who was traveling within it. If you were unliked by the forest, or if you did something that was not in the flavor of Melora or the Feywild, it seemed to close off towards you, and if you were responsive to it, it opened for you. This doesn't seem to have anything like that happening right now. It seems to be a rather beautiful and lush jungle-type forest, but you seem no unnatural obstruction and actually travel with pretty fast time. And in a mere couple of hours, you hear the rushing sounds of water, and you begin to see the treetops kind of open before you, and once more are presented with the kind of beautiful, awe-inspiring, massive tree formation of the heart of the world, of the city of Endora. And you kind of walk into this opening that encircles the city, and with Hondo's lead, make your way across, around the city and across its wide kind of root bridge, and make your way into, at least onto the edge of Endora. It is beautifully sunny, though you still note a coolness to the air. And Mary, Valentine, and Gord, you guys notice the kind of general demeanor of the city has taken on a somewhat worried note. You can see people are bundling themselves close and not kind of hanging and lounging around the city and its lush gardens and kind of sitting areas as they were when you were last here. There seems to be a lot less activity out in the streets, and that is out there. You see elves having very close, hushed conversation, and just kind of keeping an eye to the sky. You notice that as you make your way into the kind of main thoroughfare of the city.
Oh.
This place seems a little bit different.
It's understandable. The connection to the Feywild's probably all shoddy after what we went through there. Do we see any like guard or any official looking elves we could like flag down?
Make a perception check.
Doesn't look good. 16.
That's enough. You can make out through the kind of general populace, that the few that you see, there are some kind of standing nearest the base of this massive kind of trunk, but near the kind of elevator structure that you guys took up, this kind of dumbwaiter system that you guys took up, and you see a handful of three that look like the Emerald Enclave type figures, and these kind of well-maintained leather armor insignias that you recognize, and you could spy them not far off.
I'll walk towards them, kind of like give them a wave, and an elven be like, "Excuse me, can we speak to you?"
They beckon you forward, kind of holding their position by the elevator.
We're the Wildcards, and we have urgent business, or urgent message for the elders.
Who did you speak to previously?
All of them. Lady Dameron, Theon, Laurel, Keen, Elisar.
He kind of is a little taken aback at the recognizing like their names by seeming outsiders, and through your kind of natural persuasive abilities. He kind of just nods and then just kind of beckons you all onto the elevator, and he and two of the other guys step on and say, "We will lead you to the Sylvan Synod, if that is."
That was easy.
Much appreciated, thank you.
Within a few short minutes, the same ride up on this kind of somewhat creaky elevator. It seems a little off-putting, but you guys have been through worse, and these guys don't seem to pay it any mind. It seems pretty natural to them. You're led on to the kind of close walkways of the upper section of the tree here of Endora, and once more led to the kind of domed structures where you met with the Sylvan Synod previously. And they kind of pause at the door of the largest of these dome structures, and in Elvish to Valentine says, allow me one moment to ensure that they are prepared to accept an audience.
Please, of course.
Again, maybe 30 seconds pass, and both doors swing open, and you can see the kind of synod chamber that you went and spoke with them previously, though they are not seated in their kind of 6 chairs around the this meeting chamber. As the doors swing open, they are immediately like making quick pace towards the doors, and the guard quickly stands out of the way as you see Dameron and Laurel Vial kind of leading the charge, but very swiftly on their heels you see Elder Elisar, who you recall as being this taller elf, this definitely more aged, and seemingly holding, though they seem to have more or less the same level and respect for one another, he seems to hold a little bit more sway within this council. And he steps forward, as do the rest of the council. But it is him that kind of reaches you all and says, "We did not expect you so soon. Has something gone wrong?"
How long has it been long? Let me take it again.
Just wave the camera at it here, Scott.
Oh,
Nice,
future Scott knows this is gonna be a shit show.
Yeah, you're fine.
He's like, this episode? Fuck it. How long have we been gone for? Can you let us know?
You only departed from our group. Laurel and Dameron led you downstairs, but last evening.
Lavender goes like this. Yes!
They all just kind of look shocked and kind of taken aback. But
Go on.
both Laurel and Dameron, or Laurel specifically, just kind of has this wry smile and says, "We should not be so surprised." As she kind of nods to Valentine. Valentine here is blessed by the light of the Summer Queen herself. If anyone could bring them back with as little trouble as possible, it would be her. This is
Laurel?
great news.
Laurel said that?
Laurel.
Is she the one who was vibing on me last time? Okay.
She's the one who likes us. Dameron likes us. Theon is neutral. And
Keen
then
is a dick.
Keen and Alistar did not like us.
Alistar was reluctant.
He warmed to you by your deeds and words, but was initially a big dick. So, picking up where we left off, you all are standing in conversation with the Sylvan Synod of Endora of the Vale, and I forget exactly what you were talking about, but more or less, they are surprised that you are back so soon. You found you only left yesterday afternoon and have returned this morning with all the deeds complete, though you have not given any details as to any of your adventures thus far. So the first thing they ask is, so what happened?
Well, you might have noticed. Is that why there's an afraid atmosphere in the village right now, that the connection to the Feywild and Titania is a little off?
It began here. First, please come inside. Let's sit within, and then lead you back within this kind of domed room. And you note now that in the center of the room there is a faintly crackling fire, and it is warm. You did note that it was chilly outside, and that you note that they are not necessarily dressed for cooler climates. They are all in assorted kind of light flowing garb, more appropriate for a tropical type temperate, and you can tell that there is definitely some discomfort in the cold.
If you live in Florida, you don't have a winter coat.
No, it's not freezing by any stretch, but it is. It's just like averagely chilly, but to them that's fucking freezing. But they lead you in, and the guards bring about some other comfier kind of like little poofs to sit on, and you're kind of grouped around, and you can sit if you like. But Elisar, as everyone kind of retakes their positions, Elisar stands and continues and says, indeed, this morning it was noted by most of the population, but mostly by ourselves first. The temperature has certainly taken a shift. We noticed our forward scouts out within the Vale all immediately returned with a report that the forest was not quite responding initially to our shock and our fear. The lack of response had a negative connotation of you having failed. So apologies for our initial concern, as it seems you have in fact succeeded. However, I have to imagine there are some kind of setbacks as a result. Perhaps you can shed some more light on our situation here, and what did befall with this crow and the Fae.
Very astute. And the wildcards typically get counted out a lot before they miraculously end up pulling it off, which we did. As you can see, I'm wearing the Warden of the Fae. It is with a bit of a tragic air that I end up wearing it, for I had to take it from the Dubkatha, who had unfortunately killed Sylvanas to claim it. That being said, I have killed the Dubkatha with the help of my companions, the Wildcards, and saved the Feywild from an eternal winter. That sounds more heroic than it ended up being, because there was a price that we were able to destroy the Ring of Winter, preventing an everlasting winter from destroying the Feywild. Titania had to use much of her power, a lot of it, to enable us to do it. And as a result, though she is fine, she is okay, and resides in Senelise, her power is weakened, and she said it would likely be perhaps to the next full moon before she regains it. And I think that's having an effect throughout the Feywild and the Vale.
You watch as they all kind of nod in understanding, and you notice Laurel kind of stretching out her hands a little, and you watch her just like trying to quickly summon some magic to her hands, and you notice the kind of familiar kind of cycling of some basic like cantrip level spells, some illusion spells, a faint mage hand, the small growing of energy of an eldritch blast. But she doesn't blast anything off. Just you can see this kind of focusing of energy within her hands. And she says, I certainly feel somewhat disconnected in my power, though it's not fully gone. And if we are only to wait till the full moon, that only puts us at about 11 days or so. We are relatively close. This is ultimately a grand win. She kind of looks about the group, and Phaon immediately just kind of nods very solemnly. Dameron is already smiling at the idea of it. The Elisar is just kind of looking to her. You see Keen is kind of scowling and like looking out at the window away from you all. But Laurel continues and says, You've done a grand service to the Vale, and obviously served your patron well. But I'm sure it was not just you. You all have done something great for us here. And not to understate it, but should the Vale fall, the world will not be far behind. With the light of Titania faded for a time, she kind of now addresses her compatriots and says, perhaps it is best that we alert the other tribes and either consolidate forces within, or at least some form of council with the upper echelon, so to speak. It may be time to put behind us some old angers and look to the future, as we've been taught to do so of late. They all seem to nod in response. Even Keen kind of turning and with like a short nod. Elisar addresses you all and says, I apologize, we have nothing to offer you as reward necessarily, but
that's not why we came here.
I understand, but I also understand how these things go for some folk. But I think the armor that you bear, its history, its power, it will serve you well. And in the short time you've been gone, your stepfather, and I, and our council, we have done the very beginnings of some reconciliation talk. I'm sure he will fill you in, but as agreed, we will be taking it very seriously, and have every intent of a meeting with the Delarian Crown, though perhaps postponing it for a few weeks while we see to the Vale's protections. I'm sure he would understand, and as you would. We need to look for ourselves first, but we have every intention of seeking reconciliation and reunification
That sounds wonderful and is everything I would have hoped for. How quickly could a council of the elves of the Vale be called together?
Truthfully, to pull us all together, it could take some time. At least to send a message is relatively a quick deed. But to physically meet one another is another.
I feel like we would really like to speak to you in the Noldor Enclave. I know they're a bit of more of a reclusive group. What are your thoughts on that, our chances of that possibility?
Kind of sits now in the central, not throne, but they're kind of high back chairs. Sits and kind of just thinks for a moment and says, truthfully, the Noldor are reclusive, as you say, and of all the tribes, of the 5 tribes of the Vale, they are the ones who took their leave first and have had little to do with us since, for several hundred years. We have had not much interaction. There's not necessarily bad blood between, but a difference in values and belief systems. Truthfully, we don't know much of what goes on within their borders, but they keep to themselves and we keep to ours. If you wish to reach them, they're about a 6-day journey to their borders, to the city of Thaluna. Or theoretically, you could sail down the Corlar River. It would be slightly faster. Perhaps 3 days of sailing.
Would that take us in a west direction as well towards the coast?
It would.
East, sorry, my directions are terrible.
It would take you near directly east to the easternmost coast of the Vale.
Our ultimate goal is to end up in Kas'Tyrian. So maybe, what do you think there? We swing by and then keep going down the coast?
He kind of closes his eyes slightly and says, not exactly a direct route. Kas'Tyrian lies to the direct south-southwest of our position here. You would be swinging quite wide east to hit the Noldor and then swing around wide to the south. But within a matter of 14 days, you could make it by boat, though I would highly recommend a more powerful vessel than the one needed to traverse the Corlar. If you were to sail along the eastern, around to the southern coast, you could encounter such violent terrain in the seas versus the Corlar. As well, the Shattered Coast is treacherous to moor a ship, or certainly the type of boats that we have here. But
we have an experienced sea captain with us, right, Hondo?
I hope he's better at doing a boat than a carpet.
I will guide whatever moves.
How far of a...
What the fuck does that mean? He'll guide whatever moves?
You heard him. What was that, Mary?
How long of a journey would it be if we were to go straight to Kas'Tyrian? We have a timeline we have to review.
He kind of looks over to the rest of the party, and Dameron kind of sits up and says, to travel on foot, as it is slightly more difficult to travel through the Vale on mount, even without the protections of the Fae kind of creeping through. There's no direct path anywhere. Part of our protections is not to have roads and throughways. It keeps us well hidden, and far more difficult for outside forces to invade. As such, a bit difficult to travel. Must travel by knowing the route, knowing the forest, and knowing the landmarks to lead you where you need to go. If you were to travel the most direct route and the quickest, with no impediment, You could make it from here to Kas'Tyrian within about 7, potentially 8 days on foot.
Who remembers, out of game, who remembers how many days we have?
Till the full moon?
Yep.
We could just ask these fellas. I'm sure they would know.
Isn't it 11?
Ooh, probably with them notes, son. Just elbowed Amanda in the bicep. Out of game as well, talk, perhaps, DM. Is there a reason why I wrote down Noldor Enclave as being somehow significant to Revenant Vow or Kas'Tyrian?
Yeah. Many weeks ago in real time, but only a couple of hours in game time. Actually, I guess technically by your perspective, it's still been several days. When you guys left from Endora the first time and Laurel and Dameron walked you to give you the path to Gallifrey, they obviously had been there with your talks with the Synod, and you had mentioned the use of gates and portals by the Revenant Vow for their nefarious deeds, and you'd mentioned having passed through a couple and shut down a couple and whatnot in your tales. They mentioned that they had come in some info, some old rumors of an ancient site of power within the Noldor Enclave. Laurel had kind of extrapolated to say if there was a doorway of sorts, it would be ancient and could easily be an explanation as to why the Noldor became so reclusive, and potentially why or how they became so skilled in the matters of the arcane, where the rest of the tribes settled in a more natural and faith-based forms of magic and worship. She was kind of at least alluding to the idea that it would fit. Likewise, you know that on the map of the supposed gates, there was an undetermined gate within the Vale itself. It was kind of a big circle with the symbol of the Nine Hells kind of plastered, and it was just kind of a question mark of there's something, at least to their understanding, there was something within the Vale and they weren't sure where.
And was it written on it that it could potentially be to the Nine Hells, or we weren't sure where exactly it went?
There was a symbol of the 3 spires of the Nine Hells of Asmodeus. So yeah, you were relatively confident that somewhere within the Vale, at least at some point, there was a gate, whether it's still powered or not.
Who knows?
Exactly. But
so definitely interesting, not necessarily integral for us to visit. Could be like a discussion we have. Val thinks in his head.
You mentioned that would be a rough travel time. If you knew where you were going, what would the chances of getting a guide be? Someone who knows that route.
Dameron kind of looks to Elisar, and Elisar kind of sheepishly looks at you and just says, I would be somewhat hesitant. I mean no offense. You have done us a great deed, and you've done Vesaria and the Vale specifically a great deed, but if Titania and Melora's protections of our home are threatened and weakened, I would fear sending one of us away to join you. I understand your deeds are important, but our protection of our people must come first. I mean no disrespect. However, we will certainly provide you with as much information as we possibly can. And if you have such a skilled sea captain, and even with your years of adventuring, the information we provide should get you quite close.
That seems totally fair. We can totally understand that. I would love to tell you more about the Feywild, answer any questions you have. Is my stepdad around? Could I see him?
Of course. he's staying below. Decided he wanted to get a feel for an elven city such as this firsthand. We were scheduled to have several, he's tenacious, several meetings with him to discuss a multitude of different things, but they were set for more in the afternoon. I'm sure we could have the guards lead you to his quarters.
Thank you.
Of course.
Wildcards. Anything else we want to discuss or talk about here? We know we have to go to Kas'Tyrian.
So you can't give us any people to come with us.
Here we go.
Can you give us anything else?
They said
I don't know. You got more than a power bar or something?
They said they would give us anything we wanted.
I know. Well, and that's why I'm asking though about that.
If you are in need of mounts, if you wish to travel with more materials and things, you could have some of our mounts to go along with you. Though, as Dameron suggested, it will not necessarily speed up your travel. In fact, in some cases, for some who are unaccustomed to traveling on elk, it can actually be quite difficult. But we also have...
I like the companionship. Do you have anything like crystals or anything?
They have a crystal elk?
No, other than that.
Do you have anything magical?
You have anything?
I'm just looking at Brawley as I see.
Brawley's face just drops and she's just like, my baby!
Dameron sits forward and kind of with a smile leans into your ear and just says, he's been well cared for. And we have a surprise for you, actually.
Does he gain weight? Did he have a baby?
You're a snake now.
None of you hear that. Only Allie does.
Oh.
Did you say is he a snake, Hondo?
We turned him to a snake.
There you go, Brawley.
No, she's all good. She hears that and she's just kind of like sits there like
stop
this. And
paying attention to the rest of the convo.
She's got the biggest smile on her face and she's just, tuned out. Yeah.
Alisar continues and says, unfortunately, we are not so blessed in items of arcane value. We find ourselves imbued with energy and light from our different sources of worship, and they channel through us, but not so much through items. And these things can often develop greed within a populace, and we prefer not to, unfortunately. But Dameron, of course, as our expert ranger, she will provide you with the best information you can have, as well as potential mounts if you wish them.
How about one of you come with us?
We just went through this, Hondo.
Oh my God, Hondo.
You can't get off that easily. Like,
Yes, they can.
The magic flows through us, but not through items. Well, that's not gonna help me. In fact.
He Jess, my friend Jess.
Lavender the Ranger. I like that a lot. I'll take one, please.
You want a mount?
I will be the mount. I will mount on top of the mount.
Oh, okay. You'll be like one with the mount.
They all kind of just like, hey, we do not kink shame here. If that's what you're into, they just kind of take a little step back.
I would like to see the elk.
This is not my first language.
Okay.
Admittedly, we would appreciate even rations. We're not sure. Admittedly, we're not familiar with this area. I wouldn't rely on our gathering and hunting abilities.
No, we certainly will provide you with several weeks worth of our rations of food.
Potions?
We do not necessarily have some potions. However, we have some things that could aid in the natural healing if you were to come up against it. There are some side effects, but
Some side effects. Doesn't matter.
She'll take them.
I'll take them.
Yeah, why don't we see Keith, maybe some stags. I'd like to see my dad, and then we'll maybe have like a powwow at breakfast and figure out what our plan is next before taking up all your time.
You intend to stay then?
At least for a meal. Is that okay?
Of course. I just wasn't sure of what your plans were.
Likely, I don't think we'd be staying long. Probably not even the whole day. It's noonish? It's like lunchtime?
At this point, you guys are cresting into noon. No, actually, sorry. You had a late morning, so you're at about mid-afternoon.
How big, I guess, before we go, how big of a river vessel could you get us here?
We have several, more or less, rowboats that you can pilot with a handful of figures. We do also have a number of keel boats. They require a relatively small crew, but can seat comfortably, roughly 9 figures.
How many goats?
Anything with like a sail?
A keel boat does have a sail.
I bet a goat could fit on a keel boat.
Yes, perhaps we will provide you
But I
with
just
2.
got another mount too.
Okay, well then two boats.
I do not suggest bringing many mounts on keel boats.
I think we might need to review our travel plans before we make anything solid.
Yeah, that's
Of
fair.
course.
That's
but
fair.
what we have is at your disposal.
We appreciate that very, very much. Keen, it was so nice to see you. Nice chatting with
I'll
you.
tell you how much I appreciate it when I see it.
I'd like to go see my pops, if that's okay. Step pops.
Of course. Perhaps we will bring a lunchtime meal to his quarters. If you wish to all group there, we'll happily feed you. And perhaps we will have our own discussions of messaging the other tribes. And Dameron and Laurel both say, we'll see you out. Don't worry.
Thank you. Hondo really wants to see my dad, so I think this will go great.
Excellent. Dameron and Laurel lead you guys out of the upper kind of boughs of this massive tree, and the soldiers do follow shortly behind. You guys follow down again to this kind of main thoroughfare, and then within the trunk of the tree, and as you guys kind of pass beneath, back on the main thoroughfare, you just see the interior of the tree, just like a spiral of staircases, and inside like coves and little alcoves carved away from the inner bark, and it just rises the entire length inside of the tree. You see it's heavily hollowed out inside the main section, but you see different domiciles and hundreds of little homes, small little carvings outside of the interior of the tree. And Dameron leads you all towards kind of a couple of sections. There's a lot of stairs, but you guys make your way up to a section, and they knock on the door, and from within you see the door swing open, and you recognize Francis's assistant, Grant. And he looks at you all, gives a wave, says, "It's nice to see you. Please, come in. And he kind of steps aside and allows you all in. Dameron grabs hold of Allie and says, if you wish, we could reunite you and Keith, if you wish, or would you prefer on your way out with the whole group?
Yeah, I can. I guess I waited this long. I'll wait.
You can go. You should go see your boy.
Well, I know, but I don't want to miss anything just in case. I hate missing out on stuff, and then it takes forever to recap, and then you miss stuff, and it's okay. I can wait.
Okay, we'll be quick then.
No worries. When you're ready to move on to your next deeds, we'll be waiting down below in the stables. You'll find us there.
Step forward in this room.
They both make their way away. As you guys all enter, you see a relatively nice, if simply and minimalistically furnished room of deep wood. There's a large kind of window of lattice work that is out open onto the coastline, where this kind of cove surrounds the tree city. and it's this kind of beautiful light is kind of cascading in a faint cool breeze, though you can see Grant is are bundling up against it, but they have no fire lit in here. And they just see papers on papers and things just kind of piling on different tables. And from a back room, Francis strides rather quickly, peering around the corner, and says, "My, Valentine, you and your friends have returned. I trust things are finished?"
Things are done. Things are finished.
He kind of cuts you off, striding forward, and goes for a hug, and then stops into a mid handshake. That's a half hug, and it's not sure what it is you want.
Okay.
And
that's right.
But he tries something. Kind of breaks into. My apologies. Continue.
That's okay. Thank you. We're okay. We were able to get to the Feywild and to clean up the mess that was there. It did come with some difficulties of its own. The veil is going to be without a bit of its wild magic, what gives the elves a bit of their power. Between you and I, that could make them better allies to have a conversation with. Mm-hmm. So that might play into your favor, though I wish no ill will upon anyone.
Of course, but it's always good to have an extra card up the sleeve.
But we're actually on a bit of a timeline. We were lucky that what we were able to accomplish in the Feywild, though it took some time there, took little to no time here. But we're on a clock to the next full moon.
Interesting. How long were you gone?
I look at Mary and Brawley and Lav and Hondo and Gord. Do you think 5 days?
What? I don't even remember. But one day felt like it was 8 days long.
It doesn't really the sun doesn't set in some parts of the Feywild. It's very hard to figure out what's a day. A couple sleeps.
You can see this kind of, both he and Grant both have this kind of awestruck kind of glittery-eyed look of just this, to them, a fantasy land that you also just time traveled, and there's a lot of crazy shit you guys just breeze over like it's nothing. And they're both just kind of a little speechless.
Our birthdays are gonna be all weird now.
Yeah, which birthday should we celebrate?
I don't celebrate birthdays.
Of course you don't. We'll celebrate your birthday. We'll find a day for it.
I don't even know how old I am.
We'll make it up. Here, this will be interesting. I'll take out Aetherius, which I guess is just tucked in my belt, and be just grab hold of this hilt and know that you're holding a incredibly rare moon blade from the Feywild that you have had a chance to wield.
He kind of cocks his head a bit and reaches forward with his hand, kind of almost fearful, but places a hand to it. And where he does, around your hands, the kind of interior light kind of begins to just kind of glow ever so faintly, and you feel this warmth, and he kind of pulls his hand back. He says, "That was the light that you speak of.
It is.
That you feel."
Yeah, that's a little bit of it. It reminds me of Mom.
Kind of looks a little wistful for a moment.
And then I look at Hondo.
Do we need to get a message to them? Have you done that already? I'll get Francis.
I've spoken, well, not since your return. I've sent a word now that we have a chance to from here. She has not yet responded, but I'll send another one immediately, knowing that you are all safe and your deeds are complete. I think I will be remaining here for some time. there's much to discuss, and this is somewhat of a dream come true in many different ways. And a culmination, hopefully, if we can stick the landing, of many years of work to unite two powerful nations and hopefully more.
Why not make it 3 with Haverstock, Hammerstock?
That is our intent. We've had some fair communication. When I say we, I mean other ambassadors of the Dalarian crown. I've kind of been very specifically of the Vale for many years. But King Dalarian does think that we're reaching an accord on the Western Front, so to speak. We have had little to no information and no response from our ambassadors to Osmet and Marrakesh. But
well, maybe, what's his name? What was cool guy in the desert?
Damascus? Damascus.
Yeah, maybe Damascus can at least point people in the right direction there.
Is he, I suppose you did mention he taught at the, yeah, that's correct. He taught within Marrakesh. Perhaps I could utilize that, but, well, someone could. I have much to deal with here. I'll send that home, though.
We have to go to Kas'Tyrian. I think that's our main goal after this. We kind of have to haul there. But I truly do feel like our next step would likely be, hopefully, depending on where this takes us, maybe going to Arendelle, maybe seeing the Dalarians, having a talk about a potential alliance. So our paths are aligned.
This is good. This is all good. I think in a very short time, and especially with your deeds, your group's deeds having so swiftly been done, I think we have a lot of pull here now. I think they are responsive and very quickly seeing the benefits of being united once more and the potential downsides that isolation brings.
Well, depending on what happens in 11 days, we may fucking need it.
What's to happen in 11 days?
Full moons.
That's a bad thing?
Sometimes. The last one was.
Right. Do you expect things to happen here?
I mean, wherever we go, things seem to happen. I don't want to lie to you. Something is going to go down, and we'll see if we can land on the right side of it. And if we don't, well, then no one will have to worry.
It's funny. When you were a boy, you spoke much the same, and yet I took no heed of your words. You were but a boy telling stories. Now
I'm a man boy telling stories. A boy man.
Your words, not mine.
That's fair.
But yes. It's interesting how things play.
Yeah. I don't think I ever appreciated what you were trying to do. It just felt a lot like pushing papers and numbers around a desk, but what you're doing here is important.
He kind of looks at the group, and for too many years, I focused too closely on work and not enough on family. You've certainly shown me the importance of family, whether found or otherwise. There's more to life than what you leave behind.
Are you good with a blade, Francis?
No, I am not.
Well, I think Hondo is going to fight you for our family before our travels are done, so you have some time to practice.
Understood.
Hondo, any parting words?
He kind of gives a wry glance towards Hondo.
Francis, you know, your son has done so much for you, and you just seem to not give a shit. And I don't like that.
I think Hondo tuned out the last 5 minutes of the conversation.
Singing about Gwen, singing about my mama.
He says,
I mean, how your wife ever saw anything in you?
Oh, God.
I see what I mean? This gonna be like this with a blade in his hand.
Know that I am watching you.
I understand, and know that what you say is only a half-truth. Everything you say is true, but I think only in my past. I think much of what you say has changed quite drastically of late.
Prove it by giving him a big hug right now. Go, right now, big hug to Valentine.
He looks to Valen, like, kind of begins opening his arms, but, like...
No, don't open, go.
Well, he doesn't want it, so...
It's fine. I'll come in for a hug.
Okay.
This guy is starved for love. Give him love.
He does indeed give
Because
you
between
a big
you and
hug.
me, he's not good with the ladies.
I'll whisper in his ear, that part's true. Also, as soon as he draws blood, I would step in, but just put up a fight.
He breaks the hug and says, understood.
Well, guess we should be off, Wildcards.
I'm sorry.
Well, at the very least, try to
only
make
so
a plan.
short.
Yeah, we should make a plan. I mean, like, I don't want to like sit here with my dad anymore.
We do have some work to do.
We have a giant goat to go find.
Yeah, we do. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go!
I just look at Grant before leaving, like, and then just kind of cuff him on the chin, just real light, and then just walk.
He like is so like excitedly looking at you and like holds up his hand and like points at it. And he's like, they fixed it.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they fixed it.
Holy
It's, like,
shit,
amazing.
Grant. Grant, do you have any cool scars?
No, literally, as if I was just born.
Well, that sucks, man. If you had cool scars, like, people would be all over you at the bar, but that's fine.
That's okay. This was a cool enough moment for me.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're okay.
I'm glad you guys are out there doing some stuff.
We're not that close. I gotta go. There's a goat we gotta see.
That's fair.
Okay, great.
You guys quickly depart and make your way back down to the main, the lower floor. And you do see a rather large kind of penned area that opens up onto the partially outer kind of garden area, but is now kind of just more of a paddock of sorts. Though as you cross, you don't see anything within the stalls inside. It seems nice enough that everything is outside. But you see Dameron leaning against the outer kind of doorway, looking out onto the kind of fields beyond at the base of this tree. And you guys make your way towards her. As you exit from under the tree, out again into the light of day, there's a faint, drizzling, just drift of snow. You can see just a couple of small little flakes are kind of drifting around. And everyone is kind of like, you can see some of the people on the exterior of Endora all kind of looking up in awe at the snow. And Dameron kind of stands and kind of cocks ahead as you guys make your approach. And you watch out in this paddock, you see at least a dozen tall elk with these big horns and antlers. You see kind of just they're all kind of frozen for a moment, just looking up at the sky, and then some just kind of dip down and continue eating some grass. And you see just bounding over top of one of them, charging past and kind of knocking one out of the way and barreling towards you at a breakneck speed, a heavy, curled, horned, but armor-adorned Heath. Skids to a halt, and sat in front of all of you, knocking into only a couple of you, though, barreling into Alana, and kind of just like nuzzling into your face. You see
My sweet boy!
Oh my god!
you see the tips of his horns have been covered in kind of conical armor.
I love
You
that
see
she just grabbed that.
there are plates that kind of wrap around kind of the exposed muscle.
Perfect.
And the underbelly is a little, like, you see leather straps that are holding this heavier looking saddle on his back. And it looks just like a very well made elven saddle, and some incredibly shiny and somewhat scuffed plate metal across his frame.
Scuffed, like newly scuffed, like, you know, you give a kid a toy and they scratch it in the first 5 minutes of school.
Yeah. And Dameron says, we know you guys get into some scrapes, and we thought at the very least we could help him out a bit. We had some armor bits lying around and some fairly good smiths here to craft this in obviously a very short amount of time, but we hope at least it's a little bit of something for you.
She kind of goes up to her and goes, "Can I hug you?"
Of course. She bends down. And,
She hugs her, but picks her up because she's just so happy.
You pick her up, and she's just very, very not uncomfortable, but just the height difference makes it so you're kind of holding her flat above you. But she just kind of laughs along. And as you set her back down, she laughs. You can now add, I think if you just search Keith in your D&D Beyond character sheet, under, where is it on character? It's the far right, whatever's at
Extras?
the furthest right. Yeah, if you go onto that and then go to mounts and search Keith, he'll come up.
Yes, sweet boy's there.
Ooh, thank you.
sweet boy.
He's
My
a
sweet boy.
little tougher, a little stronger,
A little less harder to accidentally murder.
a little harder to knock
Yeah.
out in one blow.
God bless Keith.
She just kind of turns her and goes, "Thank you again for taking care of him. You have no idea how much I appreciate it."
Well, it was a relatively short time, but I think he made some friends and some enemies. But
That's a boy.
he's obviously well cared for.
Oh my
He's
god,
amazing.
what a relief. Okay, this time we didn't come back. Last time we came back from a different plane. Well, no, I guess it would have been... Yeah, no, last time we came back from a different plane without him, he had gained 300 pounds.
He gained weight, and we were worried that he was gonna. We didn't know what the time was gonna be, so we thought maybe he was gonna be like an old goat or something. And it was oh no.
Yeah, he ate a whole glade of grass.
Oh, that's when we left him.
From the Shadowfell, yeah.
From the Shadowfell in front of the temple, and he was with Teddy, our little owl bear. So he had to guard him too, and that was.
We also left him at one point with the griffins, and I'm hoping there's some sort of griffin cute goat baby in the future.
Oh my god.
That'd be adorable.
He's like Hondo everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Keith
Leaving
and Honda's
behind
libido.
fish fun.
He's a seaman.
Yeah, they're just going shot for shot.
So Dameron, as Alana is reunited with Keith, looks to you and says, "So what's your plan?"
What do you guys think? We know there's this potential of a portal to the Nine Hells with that other elven tribe.
At the very least, they might know something, but I don't know, it's a gamble. Either we take the time to go there, learn something, and barely make it to Kas'Tyrian in time. Or we go straight to Kas'Tyrian, potentially miss out on some information, but we have lots of time there to investigate and prep.
We've done really well without information before. Everywhere we go, we don't get the proper information.
Do we even have information ever?
It's fair.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's basically, we'll be gathering information either place we go. We just have to decide where it is. Didn't we hear something about Gambino being out that way? Am I imagining that?
So the note we discovered in the middle of the Kell, we somehow got some intel there that his airship and his witch were near Kas'Tyrian, but they were pretty spooked about it. I can look it up in my journal. I wrote it down.
I think too often we're dancing in the dark, and a candle would be nice every now and then. Let's
Candle in the wind.
let's get some info.
Well, who are you? Well, you're the one not wanting action. You want caution and knowledge.
You know, we always find action even when we don't expect action. So I'm good.
You drag us into the action.
If there's
just
no
trying to
action, he'll
avoid
kick down
Gambino?
the door.
Yeah, are you afraid of Gambino?
Are you kidding me? That guy's got nothing on me. It's when I'm surrounded by weaklings, they bring me down.
So he stole your ship out from under you, is
because
that
I
right?
was a useless crew, you know. They brought me down.
What was the ship called again?
The floppy salmon.
Right, the flies.
Do you think he renamed that?
Being him, he probably did. It's like Geronimo, I think now, or something like that.
That's canon.
Good one.
Geronimo.
As you guys are kind of discussing this, Dameron says, well, if you are relying on a timeline, I may be able to shed some light on that timeline. From here to Kas'Tyrian, on mount or on foot, you're looking at about a 7 or 8 day journey. From here to Thaluna, if you were to sail, as discussed previously, you could likely do that within 3 days. But to travel from Thaluna to Kas'Tyrian is 8, 9, potentially 10 days on foot. And truth be told, I don't know if you were to sail around the coast. You have to take a pretty wide berth around the eastern coast and then come in from the south. That's not my area of expertise, unfortunately. But Elisar, I believe, mentioned probably a 2-week journey. You could hit both. It would just mean keeping on top of your schedule.
I don't know if we should risk it.
So wait, so we have 11 days, including today. So really 10 days. That means that could potentially be the entire travel time between Aluna and Kas'Tyrian.
Doesn't sound like a good idea.
You would be looking at the other thing is this is unmodified travel times based on basic normal pace. You guys, as adventurers, have a bunch of things at your disposal potentially that you could try and augment your travel. Potentially. I honestly don't know.
We rarely do.
Yeah.
You have the ability to travel at a fast pace, which would obviously decrease these times, but you run the risk of higher chances of running into different dangerous things that ultimately could derail you for potentially longer times, or could be nothing. By traveling at a fast pace, you run the risk of higher chances of danger over a shorter period of time.
Let me read you guys some notes over the years. Fourth seal, which we're trying to stop, is become death. Whoever wields the scythe becomes death. Sirius was the last wielder from the city of the dead, Kas'Tyrian, south of the Veil. The angel of death's soul essence is there. Destroy it, take the essence, claim the death position. The city of the dead is not always available. It only appears during a full moon or an eclipse. At this time it was 5 weeks until the next full moon. Now we're 11 days away. Skip forward. Kas'Tyrian was once the elves of the sea hung out there, Everlight Isles, ocean, nature, people, and then a being with a staff came through, and through a demonic deal with Orcus turned them into abominations. In Orcus's name, Dorsane turned them to ghouls, and the city was cursed. Gambino, the childish, and the Witch Queen have found a home in a coven of pirates, maybe ghouls there. At the full moon, they will evacuate the city, maybe? Even Gambino and the crew withdraw because they're kind of afraid with it. The Witch Queen is Syrah, who we have met before and fought. She rode upon the Devil Heart, and she also might have a coven of witches. Or
Devil Heart is now ours. We stole her ship, so she definitely doesn't like us.
But where did we put that ship?
The Black Parade?
But where is the Black Parade?
It's in Arendelle.
In Arendelle.
All right, well, hopefully it's still there.
It did take significant damage from the Battle of Arendelle, but you guys had commissioned
to have
repairs that were just going to take a bunch of time.
It was also filthy. There was so much blood in that basement. Do you remember?
That was part of the repairs was a cleaning process.
It was real bad.
Yeah.
We don't have any teleportation to Kas'Tyrian Hondo. But that's about where we stand. It concerns me that it'll only show up during a full moon. Like, we might need to really enter during a full moon. It feels like it's a timeline we can't really fuck with. I don't know. I think I'm leaning towards we just go there and not risk it.
Well, okay, so also what we may or may not know, this only shows up during a full moon, which means that the Revenant Vow, because we don't know how to shut this down for good, we'll potentially get a chance at this every full moon, right? So if we lose this time, it's over, the seal's broken. If we win this time, looking forward, we either need to find a solution that will stop this from happening again, or we're going to have to come back here the next full moon. So even if we win this, we have the potential to go talk to this other tribe after the fact.
Yep.
And get more information for the next time.
We have,
because we're gonna have to do this again. This is potentially, until we can find a way again to shut this down forever or take more of them out in the meantime, they get another chance, potentially.
who
knows how much time? I don't know when the next full moon is.
There was talk of if we stole, like if we got the Angel of Death's soul or essence, like if we got that, then they wouldn't be able to break it. Or if we just, like, whoever wields the scythe becomes death. So I don't know if one of us wielded the scythe and
That sounds bad. Doesn't that sound like it's something that's going to corrupt one of us? We saw what happened with the staff. I think we just have to stop them from doing whatever they're doing to get it this time, so we can gather more information for potentially the next time.
Yeah, I wrote down, I don't know who we were speaking to at the time, but it was destroy it, take it, claim the position. These are all ideas we bantered around, but we didn't really know. Me and Aetherius, once he regains power, he has the ability to know things and to lean upon anyone who's wielded him before. So, I mean, we don't have that at our disposal now, but as we get closer to the full moon, we could ask him what he thinks. Aetherius being my sword.
Yeah. I don't know, we might have to play it by ear. I'm just saying it might be one or the other for beforehand, but after the fact, we may be able to have a second chance and go back and get more information, provided we don't all die and provided we stop them this time.
DM, that question that note we found from Gambino in the desert, that was to Raymond, wasn't it? Who was it to? Someone from Rev Vow?
That was kind of affiliated. Now you know they're affiliated in a long kind of scheme. It was a back and forth of trying to bring Gambino and his Iron Fleet and Syrah onto the team, essentially, through the Eldrazi.
That was it.
Through the Zentarum, and the Eldrazi being kind of this upper echelon training of Titans, who you've since found are connected to the Revenant Vow.
But he was all like, fuck off, thanks for your money.
That's a Gambino move.
That reminds me of someone. What was his friends called? The Iron Fleet?
The Iron Fleet are his stuff.
Jeez.
So, I mean, that's another option is, according to what you just read out, Valentine, Gambino potentially won't be in this place unless someone has persuaded him with coin to stick around as a deterrent or something, or to get in our way if they think we might be coming. So if we get there early, we can potentially deal with that problem ahead of time and not have to deal with everyone at the same time.
Or we offer Hondo as tribute to Gambino.
I mean, Hondo might be able to speak their language. Maybe there is legitimately something we can offer them to get them to fuck off.
Hondo, what if you
As well.
challenged him for the role of Pirate King?
I would happily do that. Happily.
So you become the Pirate King. It's a big fight on the masts of a ship, and then you control the Iron Fleet, and then we take out the Revenant Vow. Everything's great.
It could be very good, yes.
Well, I think we should just rush down there then, because I'd love to see it.
Gord, you're all about gathering knowledge. What's your opinion?
I think we play it safe.
I think he's right. We should play it safe. We shouldn't trust what Hondo wants, and Hondo wants to go see that tribe. We should go to the Kas'Tyrian.
Very well.
Elena?
Sorry to go over the air, Hondo. I just think. Remember when we remember the Baba Yaga incident where we talked about what our plan was, and then we went with the most dangerous one?
It worked. It was genius.
It did
It
work.
was scary for a while, but you're right. You're
It did
right.
work.
Why don't we go back to the Baba Yaga? Maybe she has more info.
I never want to go back to the Baba Yaga.
I'm pretty sure that door's locked for a little while at least.
Could be.
We could.
Why don't we do as pirates do, and we'll vote on it?
Very well.
Who would like to go to Kas'Tyrian as our first move? Valentine will raise his hand.
That's
I'll
one.
raise my hand.
That's two.
I'm
Three.
actually with you this time.
That's four.
Gord, do you raise your hand?
I do.
I look at Hondo.
No.
All right.
But to be clear, plan one of going to Kas'Tyrian is the fuck up Gambino plan.
Mhm.
It is, but I stick to my morals and my principles.
You have morals?
And principles. For 73 episodes, I wanted to go see Gambino, so let's fucking go.
Complicated.
God,
God, are you lovers?
Like I said,
What the heck?
I feel like we were gonna end up, dealing with them at some point or another anyway. I'd rather it not be while we're also dealing with the Revenant Vow.
I want it all to come together into a thrilling conclusion where we end up on top and they end up losing.
Actually, yeah, we're always behind. It would kind of be nice to potentially get there before they do. Unless they're there already. Who fucking knows?
For sure, everyone's there. They're just waiting for the full moon. So I think we should get our seat at the table.
All right, is that our plan? What time is it?
You're just still in mid to late afternoon. You still would have about a half day's travel left to your devices if you were to leave now. Or leave
We got
shortly.
Keith. I can't get Fern. We were offered some of these mounts, which is kind. We have our flying carpet. And then we have Mira.
For an hour a day.
We've also never seen what Gord can do, but Gord also has some.
Yeah, but that's also only for Gord, I think, right? Sorry, I might have written this down wrong. Which was it? Going and taking the boats was a route to Kas'Tyrian, or was that the route to the other place?
You could do both, essentially. To take the boats down the Corlar River would get you to Thaluna rather quickly. If you were to travel on foot, you'd have to go down and around and up to Thaluna, and ultimately you would miss Kas'Tyrian by 10 days. But if you were to sail, you could get to Thaluna in 3 days, and then still have potential time to hustle your asses over to Kas'Tyrian. But if you were to sail to Thaluna and then out again back around to Kas'Tyrian, it's kind of like you gotta go into Thaluna, then out and around, and then up to Kas'Tyrian.
So if we're going to Kas'Tyrian, we have to walk. If we just decide to go straight to Kas'Tyrian.
That would be the most direct route. Would literally to be, as Dameron would say, you would travel south, southwest, and more or less It's just straight through the Vale, across the plains, down to the coast.
I think that's what we do. Take these mounts, take a carpet, take a goat.
They
Go
said
for
something
it.
about mounts potentially complicating things.
Yeah, so that is one complication with the mounts is they will not be able to travel at their fastest speed because you're traveling through the forest and there's no road. But it would essentially save you guys from having to the physical toll of it. You could travel at a fast pace and still be faster than on foot, but you run the risk of running into, like, you make so much sound. Imagine traveling very quickly on these mounts.
With an armored goat now?
I was going to say, Keith now has disadvantage on stealth checks. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like there isn't, Dameron will say, there isn't much advantage to traveling on mount through the Vale. However, the Vale is not your full journey. On the other side of the Vale, you still have several days to travel south outside of the forest to Kas'Tyrian. So there's still advantage to taking the mounts and saving yourself travel time. However, your travel time through the Vale could be somewhat slower or trickier.
I think we do the mounts. I think that'll make up for it. Could also help us with like getting too tired.
Of course. In that case, how many mounts do you need?
How many?
5?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
'cause
also,
Elena's
like,
the
you
only
also
one
have
with her
the
own.
carpet.
Yeah, carpet. I mean, I would just love 5 huge elk in our party. I think that's a fun time.
Well, the carpet is the carpet the same speed, or it's slower than like a mount?
30 or 40.
I mean, it's 40, but you're not going to be hauling ass on mounts the whole time through a forest. So more or less the same. Once you get on the outside of the forest, then then you could open up throttle, so to speak, and you could go nuts. So a couple of days later, like, you could be able to travel slightly faster on mount versus carpet. Your carpet can just hold more of you, and your mounts will die before they get there.
I think we do mounts. Sometimes we bust out the carpet if we need it, but it would be better to have the mounts now than wish we had them later.
Okay. So they will, Dameron will nod and go begin calling some people over and saddling up 5 of these elk.
This is sick. I am excited. What does yours look like?
Well, mine? Are you talking to me?
Yeah, which one do you want out of these fine elk here?
I want that white one.
You want the white elk?
The one that glitters in the sun. The one that I can dye with lavender into a light purple.
Oh, not like murder. You
I
literally-
will call her Aurora, in homage of my dead horse, Aurora.
Aurora 2.
This is Aurora
It's
again?
like Aurora keeps living forever. In whatever living matter I have companionship in at that time.
Okay, that's creepy, but pretty much par for the course.
Okay. You guys, for those of you who need the stats, elk stats are now in the Facebook chat.
Sick.
5 of you. Allie has Keith, so Allie, no elk stats for you. But the rest of you have an elk saddled, ready to ride.
Oh my god, they have 13 hit points.
So no carpet?
Up to you guys, but Valentine suggested 5 mounts.
I mean, yeah, you're right. If we have them, we have them.
Yeah.
Like, Kondo, if you want to ride the carpet instead, we could just make one of these 5 mounts like a
pack mule.
pack mount. Pack elk.
For sure.
Yeah, I'll ride the carpet.
Okay.
Cool. I'd still like 5.
Things up if one carries all like the rations and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
Speaking of Laurel, at this point in time, as you guys are like, this takes a fair amount of time to saddle up all these mounts and get you guys situated. So there's a good chunk of time while you guys are just finishing your discussions and plans. But while doing so, Laurel comes by, and there are 6 somewhat large bundles of kind of wrapped in this kind of leaf and twine. And she kind of presents with a couple of extra soldiers to help carry. She says, these are some of our best food rations for a longer journey. Hopefully they keep you well fed and remind you of here. She kind of sidles over to Valentine and says, there's a bottle of some rather nice wine in there as well. Just gives you a little wink.
Thank you. Thanks. I take it and look and see if Raleigh noticed that, and then put it away.
Oh my gosh.
She kind of like glanced over, but was just kind of like, okay. All
It's
right.
like, let me pet my goat.
Yeah.
And then I look and see if Mary's staring at me.
Oh my god.
I'd be fine. I would follow it. It's kind of it's like eating popcorn while watching something go down.
And then I just pet my elk.
Is there anything last minute prep you guys want to do as the council, the two council members, Laurel and Dameron, assemble, and you see Francis come down as well as you guys are about to set off? Is there any last minute prep you guys want to do before leaving?
I'll nudge Valentine and just say, hey, your Francis mentioned something about sending messages. Didn't you say you wanted to send something to your sister? Like fucking weeks ago?
Yeah.
I don't know if you had something specific in mind. I was just curious.
I just wanted to make sure she was okay, and just part of me hoped we'd run into her when we were here, but I mean, it's almost good we didn't. I'm glad she wasn't drawn up into this. Maybe if we, live to see past the next full moon, when we go up to see your city, we can run into her along the way.
Maybe. A lot of hopefuls after this.
I'll just tell Francis something to the effect of like, tell Mom I'm okay, tell the twins I'm okay, just everything's fine. What's the other thing? Just let the elders know what our plan is, and that if things go okay, maybe we'll send word.
Of course, I will. I have yet to hear from the Lindaran, or hear back from your mother, for that matter. But it's only been a few days. These things take time. But I will, of course, pass along your well wishes, your triumphs. Take care.
Don't get into trouble, okay?
Please be safe.
Please
Yes.
look out.
As safe as you can be.
Yeah.
I understand.
Please look out for Hondo.
I would ask you, actually, to please watch my back.
I'll try, but I mean, he's very sneaky. He can be in any shadows.
This is not settling my apprehension.
Just train with a blade. Grant's got a new hand. He'd be fine.
He's worse than a blade than I am, but there are some here who I may actually take some lessons. Actually,
Honestly, I really recommend it. It's just a good idea.
I will take that under consideration, of course.
Okay, well, I'm gonna hang out with my friends now. It's good to see you, and stay good.
Travel safe. He kind of nods and begins to step away.
I'll turn and go towards my little elk. Try and get up on this elk as gracefully as I can.
You actually do pretty gracefully. They are large creatures, but not so different from a horse, and the saddles are similar. For some of you, there is some assistance from just like you would for any kind of large creature like this. And as you all kind of saddle up, Dameron kind of addresses you all and says, "So you travel to Endora, or from Endora to Kas'Tyrian then. The city itself lies south-southwest of Endora by roughly 7 to 8 days' travel. As I've said, there are no roads through the Vale, unfortunately, and you'll have to kind of rely on your skills to guide you through. But we have faith. You'll do great. Trust these landmarks to guide you along your path. Travel directly south of Endora until you reach a river. This river runs fast and it runs wide, and it can be dangerous, so mind yourselves and keep your distance from its banks. But it runs the length of the Vale, actually ending in the realm of the Vanyar in the Grand Basin. If you reach that, you've certainly gone too far. But follow this river inland for the next 3 days. By the end of the day, on the third day, you should reach a bridge that will cross the river to the south, and there's a village there known as Alethi. We will send word ahead, and they will give you safe rest and a fairly well meal. But leaving Alethi, you will unfortunately need to guide yourselves as best you can, heading due south. You should be entering into the realm of the Valar by the end of your 6th day, and leaving the edge of the Valenwood by late 6th, mid-7th day. The plains beyond lead to Kas'Tyrian and the southern reaches of the continent. They are not quite as fertile, and despite our tribe's best efforts, these lands are not necessarily safe. Undead and worse wander across the barren fields as remains of Dorsain's evil, and with them come monstrosities too. These lands are beyond the scope of the Vale and the Fae's light. They have become a breeding ground, or at least a thoroughfare for nefarious figures from around the realm. The Valar are constantly in conflict with brigands, goblins, denizens of the Underdark, many who attempt to live outside of the civilized norm. The Valar and the Vanyar do what they can, but it is a wide expanse to cover east of the Twilight Mountains, and without the protections of Melora and the Feywild, our people leave them be, and they know not to encroach on our lands in kind. The city of Kas'Tyrian itself lies on the southernmost coast, beyond the Vale, and across this open expanse. Truthfully, not far off the lowest curves of the Twilight Mountains. I vaguely heard you say the city only shows up under the full moon, but there is in fact a city there, a ruined city, but a city nonetheless. As far as we know, there are no current inhabitants, but of course you never know. If you follow these landmarks and travel swift, you should make your travel within 7 days. Relatively safe along this path.
Thank you. That was very thorough. What destroyed the city? Is that part of the Dorsain and Ghouls legend?
The destruction of the city is as a consequence of the evil of Dorsain. His magic and his necromancy turned the people, for the most part, into the first ghouls, and destroyed its livelihood, and its dark necromancy cursed its lands. The ruins are simply by exposure to time and the elements, and the curse hanging over the city does not make a very comfortable living space for any civilized creatures.
Are we talking to Dameron right now?
Yeah.
I apologize if we already asked her this, but I'll just throw it out there. Have you ever heard of the Keeper's Scythe?
She kind of cocks her head for a moment and says, "That doesn't sound particularly familiar, no."
Okay. Just checking.
Laurel kind of edges in and says, "What is that, actually?"
Not sure exactly, but we think it has something to do with when the city comes back. That's a myth we heard during full moons. The city comes back, and there's something there with an artifact of death, something that Dorsain corrupted or Orcus corrupted. We think it's of significance. I know more, but Valma knows more, but he doesn't really want to say.
She's not trying to insight check you necessarily. You can tell that she's kind of just learning this information and picking it apart a little bit. And she says, there are some ancient artifacts that creatures like Orcus and Asmodeus wish to bestow upon civilized peoples to turn them and corrupt them. I would not be surprised if this has that kind of effect on it. If it indeed lies there, I wouldn't be surprised if it is connected to this curse, if it lies there at all. It may yet be part of why Orcus or Asmodeus focused on this area, though, as some people know, but not necessarily all. Kas'Tyrian once was a city devoted to the Raven Queen. Its people were rather devout and almost fanatical in their worship. Perhaps Dorsane, through the machinations of Orcus or Asmodeus or some other evil deity of some kind, the lower planes, wish simply to corrupt her and her followers.
That feels right. Feels
Something
like
to keep in mind.
Yeah. Well, Wildcards, should we be up? I saddle up next to Hondo. Just want to see how he's doing on his little elk.
I'm ready.
You seem relatively comfortable. You've ridden before, but it is certainly not your most comfortable position, nor your favored way to travel, I would imagine.
I thought one of our elks are going to be supplying.
Oh yeah, you're on the carpet, aren't you?
You're staying on the carpet?
Yeah.
Then you guys have a pack elk, and Hondo is seated on the carpet.
All right, well let's get this started. Let's start moving.
Okay.
Aurora, okay there?
I'm like literally already mounted, like braiding her mane. Yeah, we're okay.
Okay, great.
I'm like,
Just hugging the whole time.
yeah, but like on, you know, when people are like on horses, but also hugging them.
Yep, seems right.
I give like a slight look of pity to Lavender and just like, oh, we're gonna lose this one too, aren't we?
Yeah. Sure.
She's just never been really loved by anyone other than her mother, so she tries to find love.
And the wild cards.
Well, I mean,
We're all about that.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, also having trouble braiding anything as elk don't necessarily have horse manes.
I'm like-
very, very tiny braids.
I just start putting just little Lavender in the mats of the mane.
That works.
Yippee.
Oh, that's true. You do have like a giant bag of dried lavender now.
Yeah. It smells great.
It does.
Where's my thing? But as you guys set off out of Endora for the second time, you have about a half day's travel left today. So one of you, whoever wishes to lead, throw me a survival check. Or whoever wants to be out front leading the charge for the end of this day.
Allie, you're good at this shit. You're probably also most comfortable on your mount.
Yep, I can do that.
That's true.
Okay. Alana on Keith.
Okay. 22.
Yeah. Knowing your first direction is just head south, more or less, you just head south. And as I say, there's no road necessarily to lead you, but once you get under the trees once more and outside of the city, you feel pretty confident that you're heading in the right direction. And for about 4 hours, you all travel in as straight a line as you imagine you can, and break as light begins to dim for the end of this day's travel. Feeling pretty confident you are on the way, but no signs yet of a river. So you break at a point where light begins to kind of be a little tough. Do you guys want to camp, or are you going to try and push forward a little further?
Well, I mean, we can like push. We had a late morning, so if we push a little bit, maybe we end up getting to a river. And if we don't, by the time we like think we've been up for 8 hours, we'll just go back to sleep. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you guys travel for about 4 hours so far, so you're still you still have light. It's not like you're not tired. You're traveling on your mount, and you've broke every so often to feed. I should have asked as well whether you're traveling at a normal, fast, or slow pace.
What's up, Tally? She's leading.
Drew?
I guess like normal pace.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Normal or fast, both are fine. I mean, it is like our first day and we're only going a little bit.
Okay, we could go normal pace and then see if we decide to go faster or slower the next day.
That's fair. Yeah, so that if you guys go normal pace, that changes nothing so far.
Okay.
But as light begins to lower, but is not quite nighttime, are you guys going to try and push forward for a couple more hours?
That's what Kevin was saying, which I think makes sense because like we can travel, we can set our camp up when it's kind of dark out. That I'm not worried about. Obviously, we don't want to travel when it's dark out, but
I always trust Hondo's judgment implicitly.
Ugh.
Hondo's also on a flying thing, so he doesn't have to worry about not seeing what's at his feet.
I feel like he should go.
He's a great scout. I trust him.
Do you think, Hondo, that you could fly higher than just like our level to see if there's anything out in front that Brawley doesn't see? I love Brawley so much, but she's a little vertically challenged, you know what I'm saying?
I can fly higher and further.
Okay.
In that case, Hondo, as you make your way up, are you going to go like clear out of the trees?
And ahead.
Okay. Make a perception check. As Allie, as you guys push forward a little further. Actually, sorry, Hondo, this is going to also be a disadvantage. As Allie, your survival check is at disadvantage.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so the 11 plus your perception, Kevin?
My perception is 12, so 23.
Yeah, you break out through the treetops. Unfortunately, even with a 23, you don't see anything obvious. You actually see the trees are pretty close together, just as far as the eye can see. Across the horizon, you just see the treetops above, and no sign of any break kind of immediately in any obvious space. There's a couple of small patches of like open area, but nothing untoward, but also hard to see anything in general. But with the 23, you are, even from above, able to keep pace and in line with your party, so nobody gets lost. What was the survival check?
20.
Great. I would say you guys can push you could probably push another 4 hours out of fresh mounts, and you guys relatively fresh, into pretty dark night. But as Allie has dark vision, and it doesn't get too late before you guys need to fully break for the night, and it becomes too dark to safely travel. You get ahead a fair chunk of the way, and with that, you begin to hear the sounds of rushing water not very far off.
No, this is great. Why don't we bed down here? They literally warned us not to get too close to the river, so why don't we bed down here and then find the river when it's light out?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, easy enough. You guys make camp for the night with your elks and goat.
And goat.
Are you guys doing watch or comfortably sleeping?
I don't want to derail stuff, but we have a couple things we found in the Feywild that if we do a long rest, could I just use my identify ritual on?
Of course.
Those would be, if anyone else, does anyone else want to do watch or roleplay while I look through this? It's totally up to you.
Yeah, I think we need to do watch for sure. Like,
Yeah.
I don't trust being out in the wilderness, especially if the Feywild's a little fucky right now.
Sure, so just give me who's going to do first watch, and we'll go through the motions as we go.
I'll do first watch with someone else, but they would...
I'll do first watch too.
Oh,
I have
boy.
something to talk to you about.
Okay, all right. We can do that. And during the first 10 minutes of this watch, I'm just going to be trying to identify these things.
Deep into a book.
I'm just going to be drawing something.
It's actually are you going to cast the spell or do the ritual? Actually, I think you have to do the ritual.
Yeah.
So it's actually 11 minutes per item.
That's okay. Because
It's just basically saying your perception ain't going to be anything.
Yeah.
It's going to be Lavender straight roll. So Lav, can you throw me a perception check straight? And then please do...
Oh, no.
Is it a 1?
Kyle, I'm so bad at perception.
This is on you, man.
You want to do watch, man?
Oh.
Really good.
16.
Really good.
Okay.
Pew, 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 pew. And that was even with minus.
That was, yeah. So, yeah. That was very, very good. You managed to pull your eyes away from your lavender covered elk who settles in for a night's sleep as the rest of your party set up tents and camp a small campfire and quickly find sleep, the rest of you, as Lavender and Valentine take watch. Lav, you do a quick kind of pace around and kind of encompassing your camp area. And you feel pretty confident that you guys are still close enough to Endora and the protections of Endora that, like, there's nothing out there that is untoward towards you. Everything seems on the level.
She's very much like talking to herself, like kind of like dancing around, like not really being a good watch, but she's watching. You just are lucky enough that there's nothing nearby for you to miss. Yeah.
I'm trying to research this while watching
great assessment.
Dance past. Can I ask you about some items?
Absolutely.
Okay, we got a solidly frozen cat's eye, but human.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to just list a bunch of these?
Are you identifying it, or are you just asking me about it?
Could I identify it? Like, is it magical?
Make an Arcana check for that one, not necessarily an identify. We'll go through to see whether it's worth doing.
Arcana, that is 14 plus 12, so 26.
You gather no arcane presence, and on closer inspection, seems more like the eye of a tabaxi.
Oh God!
But is just an eye that is solidly frozen, though slightly melting over time.
A glass jar of blue and black spiders times 3.
Okay, throw another Arcana check.
Not as good, but still great. 21.
Yeah, you can definitely tell there's some kind of magic happening here, very obviously, but you're not sure what it is without proper identification.
We had, 3 hard black items, stone or gem, less polished.
I don't even remember what that one is.
Hondo had found them. I can ask you about something else while you look that up.
Yeah.
A sliver of a broken mirror. Very Harry Potter.
You can feel some magic coming off that one.
Sand in a tied pouch.
Mm-hmm.
Times 3. Well, I think times 2 now. Butterfly wings, because I think Hondo threw a butterfly wing at one point.
Mm-hmm.
He offered it to the Dubkatha. Or not the Dubkatha, this is Baba Yaga.
The Mind Flare. Oh, I thought he threw it. No, that's right.
He
threw it at the Baba Yaga.
That
was fucked up.
Oh, God.
And then we already know the staffs, or the brooms, are only Burhag. Right. So I think that's it. We already know what the scrolls are from the Duke.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I know what those are. Throw a nature check for me.
Sure. Pretty good. Natural 14 plus 4, 18.
Okay. As you finally get time to really go over some of the weird oddities you pull from the hags and from your time in the Feywild, the eye indeed is nothing but an eye, although it seems like a cat eye, like a tabaxi's eye, or potentially just a large feline creature, but it's got the humanoid style to it that would fit within a tabaxi. Nothing magical jumps out to you. The spiders look a little interesting to you, and obviously feel that there's some sort of magic happening with the spiders, as they are not just regular house spiders. They're a different kind, and almost seem icy in their styling along their backs, and at like where the tips of their legs kind of touch the glass, you can see just the faintest little tracings of frost.
Jesus.
There's some weird stuff going on there. The three black, what you thought might have been stone or crystals, are actually not either, but they are frozen. And as time has passed, though they've been in your bag of holding, every time you take them out to kind of look at them, and the time that they sat in before you put them in your bag of holding, they are in black flesh, but not humanoid. And with that, you can kind of put together, from a cold climate, 3 fingers of a yeti.
What the fuck are these guys doing? What the fuck? Okay.
You are pretty confident the wings are either pixie wings, maybe just like nice butterfly wings, but you're not entirely sure. And the dust, you can tell, is not just sand.
Maybe like arcane components of some kind, or like something needed for a ritual.
Identify would certainly answer that.
Okay, yeah. So I definitely want to do identify on the spiders, the broken mirror, and the sand.
Okay.
Hey, you have more days too that you could.
I mean, identify legitimately, like, as even though you have to do it through a ritual, this is the time to do.
Yeah.
You're on watch. You feel confident Lavender's at least got your back, and if not, whatever.
Wild. That doesn't sound like something he'd ever say.
We've been through way worse in the last few days we've experienced.
Yeah.
I just see Mary still holding her blades while she sleeps. I feel good.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, casting Identify on the spiders in the jar, you don't get a direct answer, but you get the fact that the jar has like shrunken the spiders within.
Oh fuck.
Wow.
And they are not supposed to be this size.
Oh no.
Yikes. Okay, good to know.
You take another 11 minutes and look over the broken mirror, and again, you kind of don't get a direct spell or enhanced magical item, but you do find out that it is kind of like a looking glass connected to another place, exactly like the mirror from Harry Potter. But even like trying to look through, it seems dark, and it seems like there's nothing on the other side at this point. But you can tell this looks to somewhere else, but you just don't see anything through it.
It's something to like check on every now and then. That's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yep. Finally, the dust. Is that what we settled on?
Yeah, the dust.
Hang on. Is it just this? Yeah. You see there are... You connect, actually, the pixie wings and this dust being that of, like, pixie dust. Both taken or grinded up from pixies. With Identify, you're able to find out that it has numerous capabilities. As you utilize a pinch of pixie dust, you can get a series of effects. Some of them are good, some of them are bad.
Some of them make you tiny by accident.
Some of them involve the shrunk side of an enlarge reduce spell. Some of them involve a polymorph effect.
Ooh.
Some of them involve a sleep effect. Some of them involve the ability to fly. And some of them involve kind of a messing of the mind in a confusing state.
It's like a wild magic surge in a little vial thing.
Yeah, so you could use that offensively, like if I whoosh it at someone, maybe?
Possibly. You do identify that the save on it is relatively low.
How long does it last?
Do we know?
Depends on the effect.
But we'd have no idea what the effect would be.
It's like a literal roll of dice.
It's
see what
a
happens.
D100 or percentile dice roll to find out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different potential effects
That's
off
gonna be
of
cool.
a DC 12 charisma save.
Interesting. How much sand do I got? How many pinches do I got?
Yeah, you can tell. I gotta roll for it.
I am just looking at Hondo and then looking at the sand.
You can tell you've got 3 pinches like worth of like you need a good like pinch.
Dose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That could be useful in a pinch. God. Cool. That sounds good.
Okay.
How many? Okay, so I said I had 3 of these spider jars, or was that I have 3 spiders in 1 jar?
3 spiders, 1 jar. You have 2 pixie wings remaining, and 3 pinches of this pixie dust, 3 yeti fingers, a frozen tabaxi eye, a broken mirror, 2 useless staves / brooms.
That hurt to hold. They're cold to hold.
Yeah, they hurt so bad.
You said 2 pixie wings? So that makes-
2, yeah.
Okay, great. And then
In
I just
fairness,
looked
I
up.
thought Hondo had those because he did throw one, but I don't know.
He had the bag, so maybe I could have just asked for them, but I'd be willing to give them back. Hondo, you had the Yeti fingers. Honestly, you had a lot of this, which I hate to say. You had the Yeti fingers, you had the bag of sand, you had the 3 butterfly wings, now 2, and you had the sliver of the broken mirror.
Easy enough, though, while he's sleeping, you could have pilfered it and returned, knowing what they do.
I'll return everything but the bag of sand.
Okay.
And I'll just wait till the morning to decide if I want to reveal that. Fortunately, it is canon. I do have the spiders. They were in my bag of holding. Just good.
Okay. Is there any other items that you want to identify?
I don't think
or
so.
look over or read or whatever?
Did you want to talk to me?
Yeah, you guys wanted to chat.
Are
I'll
you
close my book.
done doing your thing?
Are you done doing your thing? You were just dancing for like 20 minutes.
I was getting to know the land. Okay, I have a question. So lately inside me, I've been feeling like my magic is getting stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I could just kill someone with one of my spells. And I need to know a little bit more about how to control those spells.
So you can just kill. I mean,
Like poof! Like this sand, this dirt, that's what they could turn into.
the more we accomplish and the more we conquer, the stronger we get. It only makes sense that the more you're using your magic and getting mastery over it, that the stronger you would get.
How do you make sure you don't get evil with all of this power?
I often think, what would Hondo do in a situation? And I try
And do the opposite of
I
that.
try and defer away from that first impulse. Listen, the magic doesn't control you. You control the magic. You and the magic are one. You just got to make sure you're making the right choices. I mean, the Hondo example is a joke. I do think he has a good heart. But Brawley has the best heart of all of us. If you're worried about what to do, just think, what would Brawley do, and then do that.
That's very true. Let me show you something for a second. I'll show you it. And then I use prestidigitation and I do a puff of smoke right in front of him to scare him.
The fuck was that? What did you just do?
Just kidding, idiot. My spell, that powerful, doesn't look like that. That was just prestidigitation. Okay, it's time for bed.
That was like summoning a fireball behind his back. Okay, cool.
He's so stupid.
I'm right here still.
Oh yeah, time for bed.
Are you okay after, we brought up the Baba Yaga again. Are you okay there? with not knowing where your mom is and everything?
I can still feel her, but to be honest, I'm not okay about it. I never want to see that Baba Yaga again.
If we do,
It took every little piece of me not to attack that Baba.
I was very impressed with both you and Sleeping Blue Beauty over here that you didn't start a fight.
I mean, to be honest, I was kind of hoping he would.
I know.
The one time.
He doesn't do what you want or expect. That's his thing. But listen, that was a good example of your magic not getting the better of you. You were able to control your emotions. They didn't burst out of you. You did good. Just make sure
I see what you did there.
Yeah. It's called weaving a story. Just make sure that this new scary magic you're talking about, just make sure you use it to, protect us, to forward good, and it'll be okay.
Okay.
Remember, you got healing magic too. You're not just pure destruction over here. You're able to make us feel better.
That's true.
So don't worry. You haven't done any of your crazy, explode stuff. You haven't attacked any of our allies lately, and I think that's a real win.
I guess sometimes that can be kind of funny though, but I gotta go. This has already been too much. I
feel like we're really bonding. We've never talked
I'm
this
so
long.
sorry. I truly need to go.
All right, well, I'm going to sit 10 feet away from you for the rest of this watch then.
She just starts journaling. Becomes very introspective.
Okay, wow. Who do you want to wake up next before you really dive into that?
I'm feeling a little bit tense, so I'll probably just go pet Gord for a while and then wake him up.
Okay, sounds right. I'll wake up Raleigh then.
I'm just petting Gord until he wakes up.
Okay.
Actually, when Gord wakes up, if we wake up Raleigh and Gord.
Yeah.
Gord, I don't know if you would want this, and it feels creepy to even suggest it, but off one of those hags from a while ago, they had this frozen, I think it's a tabaxi. I don't know if you want it, but it's yours for the taking if so.
I just, without saying anything, I'll just silently grab it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna get some sleep. Have a good watch.
Thanks. Have a good sleep.
Curl up for the first time without sleeping with Keith, or without Fern, sorry.
Ugh.
Feels weird.
I'll scooch toward Keith.
That's so sad.
Allie and Gord, an unlikely pairing on watch.
I imagine Allie's sleeping, hugging Keith like the world's biggest teddy bear.
Yeah, she's up like this on him.
The two of you can either make a perception check individually or one of you with advantage.
What do you want to do, Gord?
I don't know. What do you think we should do?
My perception is garbage. It's literally 0.
Mine is +9.
Okay, then it's yours.
All right, so Brock, roll d20 at advantage. Roll 2, take the higher.
I don't just click for perception, or just...
Yeah, so you can do it twice and just take the higher result.
Okay. First one was a 12. No, oh shit! Next one's a 20.
Okay. 20 total or 29?
Nice.
29.
Okay. With the two of you on watch, Alana, you are you have dark vision, but the dark here grows rather pervasive, and you can hear the faint sound of the river not far off, but you keep your focus tight with the party. You kind of keep watching, finding your eyes trailing across your party and Keith, and just keeping an eye on your friends close. While Gord, you keep your eyes outward and looking beyond, watching for any signs of moving in the darkness. And every now and again, you hear the faint crack of a twig, shift of movement in the distance. but with your incredibly keen senses, you could tell there's, at one point there is just a deer. Some small rodent kind of scurries along, but for a few hours, nothing beyond natural order. However, Gord, you do notice kind of all around you where some leaves have fallen as the cool day, and 2 days now, has kind of gripped the Vale. You see some leaves having fallen across onto the ground around the space that you guys are camping. And where you laid, and kind of everywhere you take a step or where you sit for your watch, these fallen leaves just crumble and turn to gray dust within a radius around you. Even the trees and the grass and any low-lying moss, everything just quickly kind of withers. And it just faintly, just like slowly dies around you. Alana, you don't notice this, but Val, or Gord, sorry, you definitely pick up the fact that the natural world is rejecting you in an aura around you. But thankfully, nothing tries to kill you in the night. So there's that.
I'm going to keep that to myself.
Yeah, that's fine. Do you guys do anything on your watch?
Brawley just kind of turns to him and goes, "So, we don't really get to hang out much. What's new?" Mm-hmm.
What did you just say?
I said I like it that way.
Cool. Okay. I can't work with that. No. Yeah. Okay. And just kind of sits back in awkward silence, and she keeps trying to think of something, and she'll go, and then she just stops, and then thinks of something, and then just stops, and literally has no idea what to say, but is trying so hard to be friends with him, but it just...
He's a tough nut to crack.
He's a tough nut to crack.
Yeah.
You gotta get under that helmet. You gotta find your way under that helmet.
Or do you?
She's kind of afraid of him, though, because he doesn't do anything, so she's like, I know.
Do you remain in silence for the rest of your watch?
Yeah, like, you can't even really tell if I'm awake or what. I'm just kind of sitting there behind my helmet.
I love it.
Meditating.
Maybe staring at her, maybe not.
Yep.
He just comes with the helmet like this. I'm just like...
Yep.
That's the advantage of the helmet. You can't see within. You can very faintly see in the slits of his eyes. They're very, barely there. You can see the flicker of firelight flicking within the glint of eyes from beneath. They're dark, and you're not sure if it's the firelight, but you almost feel like there's a firelight within the eye every now and again that kind of catches you off guard as you're about to say something, and it just, this little faint grip of fear hits you for a moment. And then a couple of hours of awkward silence pass, and your watch seemingly comes to an end. You feel time to switch it up.
She just books it to Mary.
Okay.
Mary, it's your turn.
Okay, what's wrong with you?
Oh, nothing. I was just waiting for this night to end. Yeah.
Okay. Have a good sleep.
Thanks.
Gord, do you wake anybody up, or do you just go to sleep?
I just go to sleep.
Okay.
Doesn't even replace his watch.
I'll kick Kondo awake.
Okay. Mary wakes up Hondo, and the two of you, as you kind of come to and begin to take your watch, shaking sleep from your eyes, either one of you throw perception at advantage, or both of you individually roll.
You can do it, Kev.
Okay.
So roll twice. You, as you guys wake up as the last watch, it is a. Ooh, you're lucky you have advantage because that's a 2. That's a 1.
Fuck. I should have fucking rolled.
Keep that 2.
2 and a 1.
Oh
My
my.
perception's 12, so
Yeah, still not bad.
Wow.
The two of you wake up. It is still dark as you guys awake, though you can feel a quicker passage of time. You can see the sun beginning to rise, filtering through, kind of cutting away at the darkness. And despite the rolls, nothing occurs untoward as the two of you finish out this watch. Is there anything you guys want to do on your watch or continue the day?
I'm gonna fly around a bit.
Okay. That'll account for the 2. As you kind of scoot around on the carpet, having more fun than you are actually on watch, just like skirting around. Although you do encompass a fair expanse. As you kind of clear up above the treetops, you don't see any potential anything coming towards your party from above, and you wouldn't necessarily from beneath. But you don't hear anything untoward, and you do. As you're kind of skirting around, even with that perception roll, you're only maybe an hour, maybe less, actually less than an hour. You guys are only maybe half an hour, 20 minutes from the river, and you hear it and you can see it as it carves through the treetops. You can see a wide expanse where the river sits, about just south of you guys.
I'm just gonna do a fly over the river.
Sure. You fly over, and indeed you see some rapids through this river. You can see it's a rather fast-flowing, and in chunks. Like you can see these like heavy churning white water of this river, and you see it. Like I say, it's fast-moving. You can see it's wide at this section where you're looking at it, but as you kind of look up and down on both sides, you can see it narrows and widens again, and you can see there is some elevation and dips in its topography as it slowly makes its way to what would be the west, I suppose, southwest. But you don't see anything other than water and a couple of fish, but nothing other than that. As the rest of the day comes to you all.
All right, everyone, let's go find that river, right?
I found that there's not much there.
Okay, good. Good
So-
initiative.
We go to the river. We follow the river, and if we reach a grand basin, we've gone too far.
Yeah, we want to follow it for 3 days. And then there'll be a bridge, and we'll cross that bridge to this village, have a nice meal, and then we'll keep going south from there till the end of the 6th day. And we'll be leaving the Valenwood, counter some spooky things, and then face the fight of our lives once more. But for now, let's follow that water.
Okay. Actually, utilizing Hondo's detection of the river, and you guys are already pretty close. 2 people are going to make the survival checks. So, Alana, if you wish to continue, or if someone else wishes to take the first part, I'm going to break it up into 2 different chunks. And we're just going to go through a couple of survival checks for a couple of days of travel.
Sure.
So, first one.
That is a 16.
Okay. For the first half of the day, as Hondo suggested and flew over, the river is indeed very close, and your instructions are simple. Follow the river. So survival is kind of unnecessary for a couple of days, as the first day following this river passes relatively quietly. You guys just continue traveling, and it is actually, in fact, nice to travel on your mounts. At what pace are you traveling?
I don't want to...
keep.
You go, Bradley.
No, I was to say, do you guys want to keep going normal speed, or should
Cloud.
we?
What did you say?
Plow through. What are we
I
waiting for?
Through.
I mean, honestly, for a day, if we're still in the semi-safe area, we
Yeah.
could go a little faster. Like, I wouldn't go too much faster, and not be looking around once we get to the, hey, there might be pirates here area. But
maybe not a full gallop. I don't want to over exhaust these guys. But yeah, like if we can go faster than walking pace, maybe like intervals of like going pretty speedy, slowing down.
Essentially, what traveling at a fast pace will mean is with your mount, you can travel at a gallop or at a relatively fast moving pace, but you need more shorter breaks.
Sure.
So for the amount of travel you get is longer. You take a lot of short breaks in between, and long ones for like you break for lunch and like sit for like a long or a short rest of an hour plus. But giving your mounts a couple of 15-minute breaks just to graze and get some water. And with your rations, you're not in need of foraging or anything like that. There is fresh water at the very least. You could collect for canteens and such. But you also have your own means of making water. So there's no real concern for your resources. And for the end of day 2, you guys make it at good speed here. Traveling at a fast pace, making up good time. Let's have someone else throw survival at advantage.
I can do it. Mine's not bad. At advantage?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's really good. Well, that's one below. I did like opposite of Hondo. I rolled a nat 17 and a nat 16. So the higher is 22.
Okay. Yeah. Fast pace. Even with the fast pace, you guys don't get too close to the banks. The trees are relatively sparse along the banks, so you're able to travel as close without being in a dangerous area and making good time. That will help as you travel this longer expanse. On your third day of travel, let's throw another... Actually, for the third day, you don't need to, as you guys, with 2 very successful survivals for the 2 of you, and just following the river, you make good time. Are you going to keep the fast pace on this day?
Would traveling at this fast pace lower our chance of spotting this bridge?
You don't believe so, because you're still you need 3 days of travel along to the bridge.
I liked Mary's idea that this is the place to travel quick. So why don't we just keep it up?
Okay. In that case, let's get someone to roll perception.
I'm good at this, but I don't want to just hog the rolls.
Well,
Hondo, you're good at or Gord's good at perception too. Hondo and Gord.
yeah, they are both
I
good.
think Gord might want to try.
Gord, do it, baby. Roll that perception. Just normal.
This will be a disadvantage. I apologize. So
Ooh.
roll twice, take the lower.
20?
Yeah.
20 is the lower?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sick.
That's added with perception.
Yep. Your full third day of travel, the second along the river, passes with relative ease. There are a couple of potential potential pitfalls as Gord manages to catch the sight of some of the bank that has kind of eroded away, and there's a section that has eroded quite a bit further off of the river that could have spelled treachery, but Gord manages to spot that, even traveling at a relatively fast pace. A couple of other, there are some low-lying branches that had the chances to potentially cause some trouble, but you guys are all seasoned adventurers and travelers. Nothing catches you off guard. A third day of travel passes relatively uneventfully, relatively peacefully, but you do note it getting ever so slightly cooler and slightly less sunny the further you travel, the longer you travel. The weather overhead seems to grow a little gray. And by the end of the third day, you all spy a storm beginning to brew overhead, and a faint rain begins to fall as you are about to settle in for camp.
How far has Lavender gotten in attempting to dye her elk with all this time?
Are you dyeing it or just like putting lavender sprigs on it?
I didn't have enough to dye it.
Yeah.
And then she was very mad.
Yeah.
So you're just brushing her and making her all silky?
I just took a couple and stuck it in there.
So the smell is quite nice.
Could I have on the second day replenished our Brawly spell gem with a second level heal? I think it can only take up to second.
Over your long rest, yes.
Yeah.
It would have set you back a little to finish that because you've got to attune and reattune. So there's like 2 hours of attuning and bullshit. But easily enough, yes.
Sweet.
So what is... Oh, just to put another spell in?
Just wanted to... I think she used it, so just make sure it's up. Because, Mary, you haven't used Dimension Door, right? I think that one's still good.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
I did it in a while.
Yeah.
But you're putting Cure Wounds back in, Alice, a second level Cure Wounds?
Yeah, is that what we think the best is? Sometimes we put a Misty Step in there, but it might be nice.
I mean, we don't have any potions.
We have
really
2 big-ass potions.
Yeah, but I mean, like, we're low on potions, so always having that is probably a good idea.
Done.
Technically, point of order, Gord has those 2 potions.
Yes. I don't know if Gord revealed that.
I don't think
it was obviously done while everyone was in the room, and he rolled really poorly, so you guys saw that he pulled out 2 rather large healing potions, but until further note, Gord has those healing potions.
In Gord's bag? No problem. Let's just put Brawly has second level heal spell gem. Cool.
Okay. As I say, the third day comes to an end of your travel, but a rain begins to kind of fall on your camp as you settle into camp and get yourselves comfortable. Hopefully before this rain picks up too much. Sadly, it does wash away a fair amount, and it is an uncomfortable night of sleep, but not so uncomfortable that it's impossible.
As long as it's not a blood rain.
Not blood, but it is cool, and I will need everyone to make Constitution saving throws. Having to sleep under the elements. Even through your tents, it ends up picking up quite a bit, and it's rather cold.
I am snug in my elk pretty hard, but yeah, let's see.
Hondo, you are good.
I'm very much regretting
Natural 20.
giving my wool cloak away to that small child.
Can I do a thing before we settle in?
Is it going to augment this roll? Because you would essentially be sleeping while this is happening.
Oh, yeah.
You can say what you were thinking of.
Well, I'm able to make a wall of stone, and I'm able to, like, curve it, so I was going to make us, like, a little, like...
Absolutely.
Dome.
Yeah. If you want to cast a wall of stone to give yourselves a little dome to sleep under, that will give you... Anyone who sleeps under it, you couldn't sleep everyone, I don't think. You probably could if you domed it. It would give everyone advantage on this, as the water will still seep in through the opening, but will give everyone advantage. And it will lower the DC as well.
I cast it.
Let's throw a wild magic search just to see if anything crazy.
Goddamn. Oh, 16.
Okay.
Would have been a fun time.
It almost fell off. It just explodes.
So, con saves all around. Kevin, you're already good. You rolled a natural 20. Everyone roll at advantage if you haven't already.
Spell, though.
That's a good.
The advantage helped.
Oh, yeah. 28.
Yeah, you good, Mary?
26.
You're good, Gord?
16.
Good, Val?
18.
Lav?
Oh, I didn't think I had to do that. 18 plus
18 plus your
con.
con save.
Plus con save. 28 bitches. Boo, boo, boo. And I'm hidden behind the stone.
Yeah, with everyone able to utilize the stone as cover against the storm. Some does still spill in, and some of your cloaks get wet just as you're getting everything set, and whoever's on watch has to kind of sit out a little bit in the rain, and that is what causes the need for a roll, as everyone will still go through watch. But your night comes without anything untoward.
Wait a sec.
Cold.
No one says anything about my wall of stone.
Hey, this is a nice wall.
I've never done this before, and you guys are just like, cool.
What is this? What you're talking about with that like special power you had? Is this it?
No, I was expecting Hondo to make some joke about why didn't you do this when we were in the freezing forest and there was freaking freezing all over us.
That's a legit question. Why didn't you do this when we were?
I learned it on the road. Go to bed now.
Admittedly, you did help make a frozen dome. That worked out well last time, but it's even better.
My architecture is getting a little bit more sound.
This is definitely great. Smells nice. It's a good stone. It's got a nice fragrance. So could you use?
That's all I wanted, guys.
Could you
It
use
just
this
smells
in,
like potpourri.
Yeah, it's like very relaxing. You guys fall asleep right away.
could you use this in a fight? Like, could you trap someone or attack someone with this? Like how he used the wall of ice?
So she did use this, but I'm pretty sure you were unconscious. In
Did
the
I
fight
use it?
against? Yeah, you used it in the fight against Did you use it or did he try to use it?
They used a wall of ice on
He
you.
used the wall of ice.
Oh, sorry. It was a wall. I thought you cast it, but you know what? You're right. He did. I got confused.
Remember, he domed us in, and it was going to be real bad. It was going to be shooting fish in a barrel. But then Hondo used Whisper and freed us. That's tight.
Hondo immediately knocked it. And then you guys did it again. The wall stayed
Anyway,
up for...
I just wanted.
Yeah, because
I
then
just
Brock
wanted-
did 40 million damage to him.
You wanted appreciation. We appreciate it.
I wanted appreciation for this, and this is going to be here forever now. I'm a very good architect. This does not just disappear, so
That feels pretty intrusive to this forest that you just like ruined the natural landscape.
someone's going to think that it's an ancient artifact, and they will take pictures of it later.
Pictures?
Like, draw pictures of it.
Okay, sorry. Great.
I'm imagining it looks like it's made out of the stone that's like the really cute cottage stone from like the holiday. You know that really cute cottage in the holiday?
Yes.
I picture there being a gem-like quality, like Lav's gem.
Ooh,
Maybe like
In the grout.
just a
The
little bit
grout's
of
kind of sparkly.
I picture like moss on it, but it's like purpley moss, and when you
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
it's like
Little-
so soft.
little
And when you
flowers.
smell it, it's like lavender, and it's like, oh, so
The detour Kyle didn't expect.
That's fine. I'm just reading of other stuff over here.
Yeah, he's like, I don't give a shit about this.
You
So we
guys
have a
can
nice
make walls
sleep.
all you want.
suddenly we went from like not noticing the wall at all to be like,
Wow!
oh.
It's a nice wall.
Oh my god.
Ultimately, your third day of travel, or fourth day of travel, begins. And this is the day that you are supposed to reach this village or this bridge. Let's go with 2 survival checks.
Advantage or like 2 people make them?
2 different people make survival checks.
Brawley, you do one. Hondo, you've been feeling left out. I think you should do one.
I just saved your ass.
You did nothing.
15.
Ooh, okay.
Come on, Hondo. Yeah, not that great.
Plus your survival, Kev?
It is, I believe it's 4. I'll double check. Yeah, it's 4.
11 total.
Okay. You guys are actually making very good time, and relatively early into this day, about shortly after midday, you see a bridge not far off in the distance. You see it's a stone bridge that has been constructed and built across a somewhat narrow section of this river. And on the opposite side, you can see some small huts, thatched roofs, and simple wood architecture. And you can see kind of just a very small village, maybe 8 to 10 structures, all about the size of a small family. In the center, as you look across the bridge, you can see there is a large kind of bonfire area around which you see a bunch of large stones and small like wooden bits of not effigies, but like religious symbols and some carvings and offerings and stuff like that. It seems quaint and small, but you see a couple of what look like wood elves kind of making their way around. And as you guys begin to get towards this, your side of the bridge, you can see they all begin to kind of flock towards, just seeing people towards their side of the bridge. And they clear a path for you as you guys cross. And you come to the village of Alethi. Now you guys have made...
Sorry, Alethia? Is there an A at the end?
Alethi.
Okay.
Alethi. Is there anything you guys want to... Sorry, not anything. Is there... You guys are at a half day's travel right now when you reach this. You've already made up some good time. If you were to stay here, you lose that extra half day you've made. But that was the suggested intent, is this is a comfortable place to sleep, a good meal, and you could continue on your 5th day. But you guys have already made up pretty good time. Do you want to continue through Alethi and on to another half day of travel and try to keep that gain? Or are you going to stay within the village?
I should at the very least stop and like chat with a few people to try to get as much information about the next stretch of the journey as we can, like pitfalls, things to look out for, tips and tricks on moving fast, like anything, and see what they say. And if they're like, oh man, the next stretch is real rough, maybe we do stay. Like, I don't know.
I feel like that's smart. Maybe not stay for dinner and spend the whole day here, but get the old chit chat, but then head out again. It'd be sweet to keep this. The more time we have, the more options we have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at the very least get the meal and get the mounts a good meal and all that shit.
Get a little takeout, maybe like a takeout container we eat on the road, something like that.
Takeout container.
As you guys
we're
make
gonna
your way
invent the
across
doggy bag while we're here.
But, just put some birch bark, roll it up. Fine.
You guys make your way across the bridge, and you can see maybe 20-ish elves of kind of light brown complexion, varying sizes of weight and height. But they all seem rather cheerful. Their clothing is rather simple, but still nice, just minimal and simple in style. But you can see there is an older-looking wood elf with very long, silvery hair, who kind of stands awaiting you all in kind of a bigger, not necessarily flowing robe, but just a little bit more heftier clothes, a little bit showing a little bit of sign of elder nature and respect. And weight within the community. And he kind of flags down whoever is at the helm of your group, but you all very quickly can see this man speaks in Elven and Elvish. Says, "Welcome to Alethi. We have been instructed a group of adventurers would be passing through here. I take it you are these adventurers."
In Elvish, I'll reply back, "We are indeed."
Excellent. I believe, then, it is my privilege to welcome the Wildcards to Alethi. Please, come in. And he just kind of waits for you guys to dismount, and just kind of, everyone kind of breaks away. They are like petting and like wiping down your mounts, and just kind of quickly taking care of them. And this figure kind of just like beckons you forward and says, "We were not expecting you until later this evening, so unfortunately we have not yet prepared a meal for you, but we could do so rather quickly." All of this in Elvish, by the way.
Mary, you speak Elvish, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Do we want a nice meal before we head out? I don't want to be rude.
Yeah, I mean, that might be an opportunity to sit and chat and get some answers. See, maybe they live slightly closer to some of these other areas. Maybe they've heard other rumors about Kas'Tyrian or people moving around or something. I think may not, like you said, it's probably not worth taking the rest of the day, but taking an hour might not hurt.
Yeah, if you don't mind, the food would be most appreciated. We don't want to put you up, but we'd love to experience what Alethi has to offer.
Of course. Rather meager, but what we have is, of course, yours. And he kind of just calls out to a couple of people, and as you guys group up, they begin preparing something.
I'm Valentine, by the way. These are the rest of the Wildcards. You can introduce yourselves.
Pleasure to meet you. This has all been in Elvish, by the way, so nobody but Valentine and Mary understand what's being said.
I'll translate under my breath.
Okay.
Under your breath. That's so cute.
Just so it doesn't sound like I'm interrupting, just like quietly to everyone else.
He says, "My name is Tanith, and you have seen all of Alethi already. We are a small, quaint village, but nonetheless, keepers of the southern reaches of the Sylvan tribe."
Do you have a title here, Kenneth, or are you...
We have no titles, just Tanith.
Well, if you wouldn't mind, we'd love some conversation while the meal is being prepared and just learn more about what we're about to walk into.
Please, I would love to hear where it is you are headed and where you have been. We do not get many visitors. Please. And he kind of leads you within one of these larger kind of domed, thatched huts. It's kind of cramped with all of you inside, but it is quaint, it is simple, and he begins kind of putting a kettle on a small little hearth in the middle of the room, preparing some kind of beverage. Go ahead.
Finally realized. So there's a scene in Parks and Rec where Andy Dyer or whatever acts out movies during the election night. I don't know if you remember that, but it's famous. He acts out what is it? So I don't know.
Oh, I can't remember. It's like a Sylvester Stallone movie or something like that.
He acts out Roadhouse with
right.
Patrick Swayze, and I imagine Valentine, this is what it's like when he explains stories, but he's using minor illusion, but he's acting out.
It's like Olaf.
Yes, exactly.
He's like,
Speaking of Parks and Rec, Kyle's voice here reminds me of Other Ron.
Yes.
Yeah. Other Ron is incredible.
Seems like you've been on a long road there, friend. Slow down. Listen to nature.
I am now just picturing that guy, so that's perfect.
That's fine with me.
So I would just explain a little bit of where we came from into the Feywild. Just put a little bit into it. This guy hasn't seen a lot. Give him a nice story.
Yeah, he is not overly expressive, but he does kind of smile throughout the whole thing. But even through like the peaks and valleys of the story, there's no big like, whoa, it's just kind of like,
Does he actually believe us, or is he just a super chill dude?
Make an insight check.
Cool. 17 plus a lot. What's my insight again? 11?
Yeah, he's just super chill. Like,
I like this man.
not that he's uninterested. He's like rapidly interested. He's invested in the story. He wants to hear everything, but he just has no real expression one way or the other. No real emotional like toll. But he's
like Other Ron from Parks and Rec. Okay.
Exactly. Like he's just kind of going through the motions and happy to hear a tale, truthful or not. He doesn't care.
Sam Elliott. That's who we want. Sam.
Yes, Sam Elliott.
He does pass out tea to everybody, and it is it's a little tart, but refreshing, and you feel like a real quick caffeine hit. Feels good. Wakes you up.
So after finishing my very elaborate story, anyways, we're on our way to Kas'Tyrian. Wondering what we could expect as we travel there. We've heard a couple things about, well, the land south of here and how unruly they are.
Yes, you see his expression turn from kind of nonplussed but enjoying to dour ever so slightly. He says, "The lands south of here are treacherous and cursed. On the exterior of the Vale, you can encounter a number of beasts, men of evil soul. But the city of Kas'Tyrian itself is evil incarnate. I know you have experienced much in your time based on your stories here, but the dead rise and the dead walk in the city of Kas'Tyrian. They are cursed souls. Once beautiful, once powerful nation of elves, devout in their worship. And they were punished for it. And from their midst, there was some success, something worth standing for. But all turned to shadow and dust now.
Well, what was that last stand that was going well?
Not a last stand necessarily. A champion from their midst, chosen by the matron herself. A servant or a shepherd in her service. I remember those days.
Did this champion have a name?
He did, but it was many, many, many years ago. Her name is lost to me. I'm sorry.
And they were turned? That's how this story went?
From my recollection, she was a champion of the Raven Queen, a shepherd of souls, and a bright spot within the devout city. But something broke, something failed. Their worship was not enough. And for many years there was much turmoil. And then worse came to the city in the form of Dorsain. His evil polluted what purity was left. And now, as I say, only death and dust remain. My apologies. This is sad tidings and dark memory. I wish I could provide you with more.
Have you heard rumors of pirates or men in flying airships around the coast lately?
We get many who are attempting to flee the law in many different provinces and territories from around the realm. None quite make it through our regions, however. We have met with the Valar over the years who have had many interactions with brigands and pirates, as you say. None such come to mind necessarily, but it would not shock me. An abandoned ruined city would certainly be a dwelling place for those seeking to hide.
I think that was all my questions. Anyone else?
Thank you, even the information does help. I don't have anything else specific. Any physical pitfalls for us to avoid going forward that you're aware of? No random... We were in the desert for a while. There's like sand traps and random dust storms and all sorts of crazy shit. Sorry. Anything that we should keep an eye out for?
Nothing quite so unnatural as anything like that. However, as I've been told you're headed to Kas'Tyrian, you know of the effect of the full moon on the city, and the dead rise. And the curse is at its full strength when the moon is fullest. But you may yet encounter several other beasts and creatures along your way to the city. There are several who live amongst the plains in which the Valar attempt to keep under wraps, and the Vanyar attempt to keep below the ground. We have recently heard of some disturbances of the Underdark reaching up into the Vanyar and our territory as well. So perhaps keep an eye out for those of the persuasion of Loth.
Have we ever encountered Drow before?
Talia.
Talia was a Drow assassin, but she was part of the Evenfall Guild.
Was being the key phrase.
She's still out there. She's still chilling somewhere.
Yep.
She's still doing stuff.
She still hates us a lot.
Yeah, that's another connection from her past. DM question.
Mm-hmm.
We know Dorsane was tied to the Black Staff. Do we get a read on how he, did he fall to... I think I'm getting him and Carval confused. Did Dorsane fall to the... what's it called? The Champions?
Yeah, you guys know that Dorsane, on his conquests, one of which being the city where the city of the dead, where he destroyed these elven peoples and created the first schools. He was the one who cursed the family line, who made that curse in the first place, and was put down by Ragnar Stormborn, and not necessarily champions, but heroes of the Dwarven citadel. And on his dying breath was one who cursed the family line.
And he hung out in the Abyss. Carval was a fan. Do I have any of this right?
Carval and him were both, for a time, servants of Orcus. And through that connection, much in the way Gord has served Orcus, he wants items of power, and he wants his powerful to wield those items. As the Black Staff, he wanted Dorsane to wield it and do terrible deeds. When it was taken and hidden away by these champions, and then hidden with Samira, the Sphinx.
Thanks. Yeah.
Carval, as a servant of Orcus, was put on the task of retrieving the Black Staff and doing horrible deeds with it. What you found was Carval took it and did a bunch of horrible deeds with it, but then he found some other stuff, and then he wanted to do his own thing, and he stashed it away in the Abyss, and he made a little temple, and you know the rest.
Definitely know the rest. What was the one more thing? Oh, so Wildcards. I think maybe we should come up with a story if we encounter any nefarious peoples, whether that's Drow, whether that's pirates themselves. We might not need to fight our way out of everything. Beasts and scary zombies we might need to fight, but it might be wise if we're creeping towards the city where pirates do hang out. If we have some sort of we have a famous captain with us here, whether we are pirates ourselves, whether we have been fighting with the Valar and the Venya against them, but we might want some sort of cover that we all decide on.
Can you keep up the act that you are famous, Hondo?
Or a good pirate?
I have a reputation. I don't need to act.
I mean, it's just if you say you're Hondo the Blue, I mean, I think your name probably got around, right? Do you need a disguise name?
I could call myself John Doe.
John Doe the Blue?
John Doe the Brown.
Why brown? Do
John
I
Doe
want to know?
the Turquoise.
Wait, what other aliases have you used in the past? Didn't you have another good one?
I have been called Alvin the Silk Merchant. I have been called...
When we were in hell, what was your fun code name? What was it?
Roymond? Was he
Roymond
Roymond?
Morales.
God, it was Roymond Morales.
Roymond Morales.
Yeah.
I think Roymond is my most
Call me
effective alias.
I mean, it depends on who you run into.
I think I want either the Silk Merchant one or I'm down with John Doe.
Honestly, the Silk Merchant, I mean, we could be literally, we agreed a meetup with some other people we're looking for. We can make shit up, I don't know. Just happens to be on the edges of Kas'Tyrian, and we have a deal that we can't talk about because it's shady, and I don't know.
We're with John Doe, the trader. Trader, not traitor.
I like that.
We're his hired guard.
Mm-hmm.
You're a sea captain looking to do some piratey stuff. Maybe that's just our play. We don't throw out any names. Don't throw out Gambino. Maybe do we throw out Gambino? We want to meet Gambino. You where he's at?
I would say no, because then what if someone's like, well, sure, I know him. Let me send word ahead. Like,
Great. Tell him John Doe's coming.
We've got to
like,
draw Gambino in. So, you got to spread word. I've got a massive shipment
Of what?
of the most finest silks. Or I have a massive shipment of mega bombs that can blow up an entire island. You got to get him interested, and eventually his people will come to you, and a meeting will happen.
I actually don't mind this plan.
I don't mind it.
Essentially draw them out.
I have 2 vials of explosives in my bag.
But we will. That's a good start. We can show them that. We may need to ask our elves friends if they can provide, something of a bomb type device that looks intimidating.
I mean, I have the shell of an
It doesn't
old...
have to blow up.
Yeah, I have the shell of an old bomb. We took it apart. We still have the shell of it. It looks fucking terrifying.
I don't know if this will fool them. It's an old bomb, It needs to look.
We have 2 infernal boxes.
That
I mean, admittedly, the vials might be our best bet.
We have one we've never opened.
I really don't want to waste the vials, so if they ask for like a...
This is the thing. We can't risk. They are savages.
That's a little much. They might just be people down on their luck. We've worked with plenty of people from all sides of the law before. Not all of them are shitheads.
What could we be selling?
Well, let's brainstorm. We have potentially a little bit to think about it. Like, let's think about it over the next day or so.
Well, we might encounter them soon. I'm just thinking maybe before we leave here, we have a good plan.
I mean, admittedly, this is more of a plan than we usually have. We can just kind of see what they're interested in. We'll have to play it by ear depending on who we run into, right? Can't make it sound too enticing, or then they're going to be like, oh, great, look at all these people traveling with potentially cool things. Let's all attack them. Let's spread the word and get their cool shit.
Could be sell swords. We're looking for work, looking for honest work.
Maybe I should get that hat ready just in case.
Cool disguise.
I'm a little conspicuous with this armor.
I look good, and I ain't changing anything. 3 days back in this normal temperate climate. My hair looks good. That rain really freshened up my skin. Used some of Lavender's moss. It's a kind of natural fragrance. It was nice. All right, well, yeah, you guys want to just bed down for a meal and then keep this thing going?
I think so, right?
This is smart, yes.
Let's do it.
Yeah, within an hour, it takes a little bit of time. A meal is provided, and it is rather delicious, though vegetarian. And for the most part, that doesn't bother too many of you. But it is surprisingly filling and delicious. And at the about 2 hours spent within the village, by the time the meal is finished and you're chatting and goodbyes are said, time to continue on, unless you have anything last minute you want to do.
This is such a niche thing. Does anyone here look like they have a sheath for their swords, or there's anyone who makes sheaths for their
Didn't you? You got a sheath. You got a sheath from...
borrowed
Yeah, Novarin gave you one.
Yeah, Nova gave you one.
I don't need one. I got one. I stole it from
You
that
get
guy.
to keep
Well, he didn't bring it up when I stepped through the portal, so
Yeah,
that's his
true.
problem.
You
Tight.
don't need it.
Tight. I'm good. Feeling good.
Yep.
Still like the idea of carrying a loose blade around in my belt all the time.
a V-sharp
You got
one.
you got so used to Heartbreaker that had no blade to worry about stabbing someone with.
Like, I know. Still getting used to where to put it. If it's here, if it's here, if it's here. I don't know. So I'll work on it.
Easy enough, though. Unless there's anything else, you guys continue on for the remainder of this day.
Let's keep going.
Okay. As you leave Alethi, you come to the point where there are no more landmarks to follow. And just know that you need to travel south out of the Vale, but you're still not quite at the edge just yet. However, by the end of day's travel, you do see the edge of the forest kind of, you see more light on the exterior. You see the plains beyond begin to kind of crest just outside of the light of the Vale on your end of your 5th day of travel, roughly. You rest, you bed down. Is there anything you guys want to do on this night?
Yeah, can we just camp out here before we start moving towards that?
Mm-hmm.
I feel good.
Okay. No storms this night. Relatively comfortable, if still a little bit chilly. You do hear through the night some sounds of some kind of disturbance way off. You hear it like a loud, not explosion, but like almost like a tumbling of rock, like a rock slide. And whoever is on watch, and even some of you who aren't, you kind of wake up to this sound, but it's far off in the distance, and you're almost hearing more of an echo than anything. You hear some disturbance through the forest through this night, but for the most part, nothing disturbs your sleep, and day 6 arrives.
Well, at some point, probably not like, if we need watch, I probably wouldn't be doing it then, but like, every time we stop for like lunch or something like that, can I just slowly pick away a little bit more at that book that
Sure.
had the journal? So not that you have to like read out the results now, but just I'll put in like an hour here and there, and then whatever you think there's been like enough, we can go through whatever it is.
I mean, over the last couple of days, you would have easily been able to get through the majority of it. There's not a whole lot left.
Okay.
So we could say we'll do the first half of this day. So for the first half of this day, someone throw a survival check for me.
Brawley.
Yep.
Straight roll.
Ooh. 23.
Okay. Yeah, you feel very confident in your cardinal directions. You know, obviously, well, we got to get to the edge of the Vale, and it's right there. So for the majority of this day, you make your journey south to the edge of the Vale, and for the first time in a long time, you guys leave the comfort of the verdant boughs, and you look above gray, cloudy skies with no sun, and kind of just spreading ahead of you, you just see kind of large rolling hills of some faintly tall grasses that are kind of blowing, and now a much more open breeze. I'll also have someone throw a perception check for me.
I'll do it. Not naturally.
you're still a ways off from seeing any signs of a city. You see the planes continue off for a long time. You don't even quite see the coastline just yet. You're still a little too far off to see that. But you do see a divot ahead, a large, long divot, and as you guys continue a little closer for the next hour of travel, you actually see a long, large gouge in the ground, what looks like a long, dried riverbed. It's rather wide, and you just see like broken rock and assorted, just this wide kind of channel, almost like a small canyon, a low-lying canyon. And within it, you do see that it may have been very well the sign of the sounds of that rock slide from the other night. You see some freshly disturbed rock kind of around. But you notice that this river channel runs a long ways along the south, and you see another kind of pathway to follow necessarily that seems to lead south.
You guys want to take this? This feels right. Make our way towards the coast. How high up are we from the bottom of that little river?
It's maybe like 15, 20 feet, and then dips in sections that's a little much deeper, and some it's maybe 25 feet. Some it comes up very shallow to maybe 10, 15.
And is there still water moving through it, or it's like it once was?
It seems to be pretty dry. It seems more or less a bone dry riverbed.
Okay.
Do you trust it?
Do I trust a riverbed? I don't know. How good are you at nature?
I'm okay.
You could ask if it looks finicky or something.
Does it look finicky?
Make a nature check.
I don't know.
No, really good.
22.
Suddenly, very curious about this riverbed, you dismount Aurora and take a moment and clamber down into this riverbed, and you kind of begin walking around, and everyone's kind of watching, and you do notice, actually, kind of in the middle, around some like groupings of rocks, you do see some like vegetation that would come like accrued almost like seaweed.
I don't think that this is something that stays dry all the time. Do you see this? This wouldn't be here in this arid environment. This would need something, whether that's groundwater or water that still runs through this bed. I don't think it's a safe idea to just be in the waterbed.
You're standing in that spot right now. Maybe you want to come up?
Yes.
I mean, flash floods we know can happen in dry places.
That is true, but seaweed is different.
Yeah.
This is not a cactus. This is not a succulent.
Let's not travel down in that. Let's stay up here. But it's a good note. Did the soil feel damp there, or was it dry?
No, but it felt like the seaweed was rooted, which means that
it still felt dry, and the seaweed itself was like more or less dried out, but still very out of place.
Maybe it has something to do. Well, no, because we've only been traveling for like a week. It wouldn't drought that fast. As you say, maybe it has something to do with the Feywild being closed.
Also, just a point of order: you guys are outside of now the Veil. You guys are
never mind.
Several hours beyond the edge of the Veil and into this kind of plains area between the coast and the forest of the Valen.
This also could have been dammed up recently, like further upriver, or towards where we're heading, if it's coming from the ocean.
Then let's go up here to look, and if it's not that, then we can do whatever.
Okay, so we should just keep traveling down towards the coast, we think? South?
Okay.
Let's do it.
We'll say another hour or so passes before you guys go to take a short rest for your afternoon pause. And over the accrued hours of the several days of travel you've had here, Mary, you have read this journal of Sylvanas. You read previously the kind of coming together of this age of heroes in the years of 424 to 427. And you'd read up to the end of the year in 425 and had kind of just now begun to read into this year, this 426, like what occurred over this year. And that's what you've read through the last couple of days. On the 1st of Corin in 426, you read a short entry, and immediately it's a little dour. It says, "We failed. We are but children in a war of titans. Poor Nero. May he rest well upon her wings. Tharsden will surely come. We have carved his path for him. We are not enough." And just some like scribbles and aimless uncertainty.
Did you say like poor Nero, Nero?
Mm-hmm.
Do we know who that is? Is that one of the names on the...
You have never necessarily heard that name. Yeah, I wouldn't say you've heard the name yet.
It wasn't... I'm trying to find it in my notes, but it's not one of the ones that was on that plaque.
There are a couple that you... No, it was not on in the painting.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. I don't think he was.
I don't remember hearing that name before, so I just wanted to make sure.
I don't think he was on that.
Okay.
No, he wouldn't have been on that. A couple weeks later, he writes, "He comes. Tharsden, the Oblivion, the mad god, the demon. He rides to our shores on a chariot of chaos and death. We've amassed armies from across Vesaria. It was not easy, especially as we had assured them we would succeed in the abyss. But nonetheless, their home is threatened by forces beyond, and the gods cannot protect them, but we can. In 2 weeks' time, the plains will shatter. Mordenkainen and I have foreseen the coming storm. The skies will darken, the earth will tremble. All that is green and thriving will wilt in his wake. The dead will rise upon the earth, and behind him the untold horrors of the abyss and the far realm come swiftly. We have but one chance. The chains are made, the shackles set. Mordenkainen has a trick or two up his sleeve. He's so secretive, but it's likely for the best. Where he learned this trick of his has haunted him, but he is wise enough to handle it, I hope. Nonetheless, we are as ready as we will be. I fear this time may be the last I see some of these faces." And then shortly after, the 37th of Corin in 426. "Victory, but at what cost? The realms are safe for now. We've done our deed, but we can't even bury our dead. No matter, my deed is done. The people of Vesaria may rest easy, and it is now time to fulfill my oath. An age of heroes passes now on to new life. I hope we have saved a world worthy of those who gave their lives for it. Only time will tell." And the journal comes to an end.
Okay. This is a lot more depressing of a entry than the last one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little scary and sounds a little too close to what we're dealing with.
Wonder what that trick was
Yeah, I know.
and where he learned it.
And something about chains, that sounds useful. Okay.
Okay. Before we continue on, I'm going to get another drink real quick. So let's take just like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever.
I'm gonna stretch my legs.
Yeah, let's stretch a bit. We're not going to go too much farther. It's already 11, but we took kind of a weird start. And I'd like to get to...
Another spot.
Yeah, we're not quite at a good pause moment yet.
Oh,
I'm debating like 3 different things at once as I'm playing out right now. So I'm going to take the next couple minutes to finish debating. I'll be back.
pause.
Picking back up, you guys are still in about a half day's travel left in this day. But you know you've made up good time, and there's a very good chance you are only but a day and change away from your destination. You know, you've crossed outside of the Vale and several hours across these plains, and you now have a bit of a bearing to kind of follow with this this riverbed that seems to be leading, at least is in the direction of south. Whether it changes along the way, you will find out. But you have a half day of travel on what would be the 6th day. So I need a secondary survival check from somebody who cannot be Allie, I think, who made the first one, right? So somebody else.
I shall roll. 17 plus 5 is 23.
Okay. Continuing with now knowing you're kind of following a marker of sorts. So you have this riverbed to kind of follow. You have less concern about your speed and potentially going off track and not being able to keep a straight line. As long as you follow this riverbed, you have a pretty clear direction in which you're going to travel, and with your internal compass and with your party's kind of understanding of roughly heading south, we'll hit this city. You continue for the majority of your day's travel, and you see another gray kind of storm beginning to slowly move across overhead. Nothing supernatural, just seems to be stormy terrain, weather above, but you can feel another night storm gonna hit you guys as you guys go to bed down. But it's not quite hit yet. You can see it's gonna hit a little later. It seems to be coming off the ocean ahead. So you still have a couple hours as you begin to hit your camp time for your first settling in. But so far, you kind of look about, you follow this riverbed a fair ways. You're kind of to your left, to what would be the east. You just continuously see more of these kind of rolling hills. Every now and again, you see kind of a large kind of rock cropping of rock. Not volcanic or anything like that, but just like assorted rock pushing up from beneath or blown from old volcanoes of many years past. And to your right would be this kind of rather wide section of the riverbed, about 25 feet wide, and at this point about 20 feet to the base. And you can kind of see there are the mountains off to your right in the far distance. These large peaks of rather dark mountains that you can see very faint white caps along the peaks and ridges of off in the distance. But it's for the most part relatively open out here. You guys don't really have any signs of cover or anything like that, and you see a storm. You probably wager a couple hours off, but it will hit through the night as you guys begin to settle in camp.
Lavender?
Maybe that's the storm that fills the riverbed, and maybe that's the only water that comes from here. Who knows?
Yeah. I was more thinking, do you want to give us shelter again?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's keep away from this riverbed area just in case.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are still, like I say, you're about 20 feet up, so yeah, maybe not right on the edge, but like you'd be fine being 15 feet, 10 feet away. You'd be comfortable. But if you could imagine this rain putting that much water in here to fill up this riverbed up to 20 feet, that's a lot of rain. You're gonna have bigger problems.
Buddy, we're playing your game, pal.
Yeah.
You're gonna have bigger problems if that happens. But are you casting Wall of Stone? Emerald Dome? Wild magic.
This could be cool.
Every chance I get. Fireball in the party.
9. Fireball your party.
It's one of the options.
9.
Easily enough, you focus your magic and you create the domed Wall of Stone, which it's like 20 feet in radius or something like that. And easy enough to grant cover to all of your party with your mounts seated outside. Who is on watch?
Now that we're into some spooky stuff, we really need to be on watch and doing a good job. So let's pair people who are good. I'm good at watch. Hondo, you're pretty decent at watch. So's Gord, right? We're all pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm.
I can go with Lav first, because no offense, Lav. Watch isn't necessarily your strong suit.
Building a wall to support everybody and allow them to sleep safely, that's my strong suit.
That's your strong suit, and you did such a good job.
Don't patronize me.
Why don't we take second watch, you and I, okay? You just worked up a lot of stone stuff.
Okay.
Who's got first?
I'll go first.
Oh, sorry. I thought Scott and Amanda were taking first watch, and then he's like, "Who's got first?" I got very confused. So
I was like,
reading
you know
stuff
what?
over here. So
We're gonna take second, Lav and I.
okay, who's up first then? Mary,
Yeah, I said I'll go.
and by yourself or with somebody?
I'll do it.
Okay, I was gonna say that's up to everybody
I
else.
keep Brawley and Gord together. That worked real well.
Yeah.
Okay. Then either one of you with advantage or both of you can individually roll perception checks as night descends. Honda, you have dark vision, correct?
Mhm.
I was like, I'm trying to think. The only one who doesn't is Lavender, correct?
That's right.
Technically me with my goggles.
But you have goggles. Sorry, so is Kevin rolling at advantage or are you both rolling individually?
I'll do.
Yeah, it's fine. You can roll.
Okay.
Roll again.
First one was a 5. Second one, it
There
said
you go.
0 for so
I know.
long.
It was like, new all-time low.
So
You
total,
can roll a 0. You can technically roll a negative indeed.
but not on the die.
No, not on a die.
Yeah.
That's great.
What's your total, Kevin?
For perception, what did I say? 12 was it? Yeah, so 12. So that's 26.
What a 6. That's good, buddy.
You guys on watch, you watch the storm as night fully descends, and you keep kind of the campfire just a low light to give you guys a little bit of light and warmth because it is pretty chilly here too. You find the further south you're moving, oddly enough, it is still getting rather cool. Especially with wind, and the wind is kind of blowing around quite a bit as the storm is kind of rolling in off the ocean. The two of you sit for the first hour, 2 hours, relative silence, save the wind. By the late second hour, the first couple of cold drops of water kind of begin to fall across the party and kind of spattering against the stone of Lavender's stone dome. But Hondo, you hear through the storm the sound of like just faint rock kind of shifting in movement coming from the riverbed.
I'm going to go investigate on the carpet.
Okay. Mary?
Wait, where are you going?
You wait here. I'm going to investigate.
That goes well. I'm gonna just move so that I can see where he is.
Okay, so you go to like the edge of the riverbed.
Yeah.
Hondo, make a... Oh, you made your perception check, sorry. Make a stealth check at advantage.
Because you're Hondo.
Because, well, he's on the carpet, so he's not really making any sound. Well, okay.
Thank God. So it was a natural 13 on the dice. What do you add?
So my stealth is 15. So 13 and 15.
Yeah, 28, quite a bit. Taking off on the carpet, it takes you a minute or two to pull the carpet out fully, though you had it out already, but you got to pull it out of the dome, out of the wall of stone, and mount yourself up and take off. And you're fighting against the wind ever so slightly. It's not quite like flying through the Kel, where it was literal like life or death storm. This is just regular storm winds, but enough that it takes a little bit of concentration. But as you cross up, how high do you want to go up above the river?
I'll hug the canopy.
Hug the canopy, like
I'll go, like, oh no, sorry, not the camp. I will go. Like, there are no trees around, right?
It's open plains now.
Okay, I'll go.
So for perspective, you guys are camping up here, and then it drops away about 20, 25 feet, and then it's about 20, 25 feet wide, and then you see another kind of ridge on the opposite side.
I'll go 50 feet up.
Okay. Just within the range of your dark vision, which is 60 feet, which works. You take to the skies and then just begin kind of surfing slowly across, looking at the general sound of where you heard that rock kind of shifting move. And you kind of just drift a little bit away, and Mary, you watch as Hondo, very clear to you because you watched him go. You see him kind of flying above, and you kind of creep your way over the edge. And both of you see two figures making their way along the bottom of the river on the opposite side, maybe 60 feet from where you guys are camped, south of you. And they're kind of on the opposite bank, and kind of trying to like scrabble up alongside of it.
You go ahead.
They're just, you see two individuals. They're difficult to make out. You are closer, so you can see a little bit more. You can tell one looks shorter and squatter, perhaps dwarven, halfling, gnome, something of the stouter races, and the other seems just kind of generically medium-sized. You're not sure.
So I'm gonna fly behind them,
okay,
and get a bit closer.
As you do, maintaining yourself from your previous roll, you swivel around, and Mary, you watch as Hondo kind of gets a little lower on the carpet, and they seem to be continuing along, but they seem to have stopped moving north and are now kind of trying to climb up along the ridge of this embankment.
To where we
go? No, on the opposite side. So okay. on the far side. So Hondo, you are kind of swiveled around and are watching. Mary, you're watching them start to climb. But Hondo, as you get a little bit closer, still we'll say about 30 feet away, getting just a little bit close, you begin to hear the two of them kind of arguing in hushed tones. You hear one say, "Oh, I know it came from here. It's just keep searching. One of these rocks must move." And the other, all right. Just kind of seemingly arguing about something, seemingly searching for something. And you see they're making their way up along this rock wall, and you see just rocks kind of falling away as they're climbing. Mary, you see the same. And you see one, at one point, there's what looks like just a small boulder kind of embedded in the wall. You see he like puts his hand to it to try and grab and pull it out, and his hand, and he falls through the wall. And you see him disappear, and they're like, "I fucking told you!" And he starts clambering up, and he says, "You know he's got to have a horde in here or something. Let's go." Just as he creeps within the wall.
So now they're both gone?
They both seem to have crept within the wall.
So I'm gonna fly to that boulder.
Okay.
And then I'll message Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be like, I think I might have found something. Get here quickly. Do not tell the others.
What? Like, shit, don't do anything dumb. Don't hit anybody.
Well, just get here quick or I'm going it alone.
Fuck. Okay, yeah,
She can see me, right? Like, I'll wave. Like,
she can see you. I need you to make another stealth check.
Okay.
To see how quietly you can mask your voice.
You always have advantage, but I don't know if this counts.
I did on the pearl. I wasn't yelling across her.
Oh, I know. But nonetheless, this is just a straight roll. This is a straight roll plus your stealth is like 20,
27,
30. Yeah, 20. It's crazy. Quiet enough that you manage to. You know you're on the earring, so you don't need to yell, but you did get really close to where they were and spoke. But you feel pretty confident you were quiet enough, and you can actually hear from within, kind of muffled. The two of them are moving and kind of moving away rather quickly.
I'm going to go on the earring and just like Oh fuck! Who do I?
Has she got here yet?
I'm working on it, but I'm gonna go on the earring and just be like, who is supposed to be up next? Alana, wake up, Alana, I gotta go follow Hondo. He's being dumb. Don't wake anyone else up. Just sit there and wait, and I'll yell at you if anything happens. But it's fine. I'll be back soon. I just didn't want to leave this with no one here.
Okay, Mary, make an athletics
okay.
check.
Natural 20. Ooh, what a thing to waste a natural 20 on.
Very quickly, you scamper over the edge, you slide down expertly down the side of the riverbank on your side, and very quickly you sprint across the 25-foot gap to be now on the bottom of the riverbed. This kind of hole was about 10 feet up, or about 5-10 feet up, roughly. And Hondo's kind of floating about that spot. What are you guys doing?
The whole time, I'm like, oh, this is a terrible idea.
So now I'm not through the earring now, just directly to her. There's something hidden in here. I believe it might be treasure, but we got to investigate.
You called me over here for okay.
Look, there are two idiots in that hole. I don't know who they are, but they're going to. They were talking about treasure. There's something of value. It could be, it could be some powerful stuff. Let's just go and get the stuff.
Okay, very fucking quietly, and keep an eye to make sure nothing comes back to whatever this place is.
Also, I can turn invisible, so.
Good for you. I can't.
All
right.
Is there if I put my hand on her shoulder, would she go invisible too?
If you cast it on her, or if you cast it at third level, or if you upcast it, you can cast it on 2 people, but I don't think you have third level spells just yet.
No.
So you could cast it on her or on yourself.
Okay. All right. You're not so swift and shifty like I am, so I'll cast invisibility on you.
I'll take the not so shifty part, but I'm pretty sure we can run this. All right, it's fine.
So I cast invisibility on her.
Okay. Hondo's now concentrating on invisibility, and Mary is invisible.
How long does it last for? It's like an hour or something, or 10 minutes?
Let me check.
You don't have to answer right now. It might not take that long.
It says 1 hour.
But if Hondo dies, it drops.
Okay, let's just see what the fuck this is, and if it's not worth it, we get the fuck out quickly.
Hondo, you have some cool shit in here inside your little features and traits. Just scrolling through some of the things you can do.
So what are the two of you doing? Mary, now you're invisible, and Hondo?
I follow Hondo because I know he can't see me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going down the tunnel.
Okay.
I'm keeping it. I can hear, right? So I can keep a distance from.
Yeah, you can. As you guys were finishing this conversation, you drift on the carpet. Mary, you clamber up relatively easily through what seems like an illusory wall of some kind, and into just a cavern opening of kind of sand and rock. And then it descends down into a wider cavern of natural stone and sand. And you can both hear the sounds of two of these guys' kind of muffled voices. They seem rather animated, but hushed and happy in this kind of gleeful way. And you hear this kind of scattering of metal on stone and sand. Like you hear the sound of clinking of coin, and you hear like a shout of glee.
Is it in common?
It's difficult to make out, but the words you did hear previously were common. There's not so much you're not right beside them. You can just hear just kind of muffled at a distance sounds that seem rather happy. Both of you make stealth checks. Mary at advantage and Hondo at advantage for
basically tell if it sounds stuff, right?
It sounds like someone has come across something that they are very happy about. You're lucky you have advantage.
29 for me.
A natural 1 for Hondo's first roll. Followed by my guy, natural 3.
Hey.
And my stealth is 15.
So still 18, not too shabby. You guys begin to... You are on the carpet, so it's not like you kick over a bunch of fucking rocks or something. But perhaps a little bit of excitement reaches into your voice while you guys were talking outside, and you get a little too loud, but you guys begin to make your way in about 15 feet into this cavern before you hear, "Oh shit!" and two people sprinting incredibly quickly towards you, and what begins as a small red-black kind of shadow suddenly becomes a massive cone of black and green flame that just, you see it flare out, and you see two individuals silhouetted by it sprinting and then turn to dust. And you hear a roar kind of follow as this necrotic flame just stops short of where you guys are. And
Hondo, we're bailing. Hondo, we're bailing. Now.
All right, let's go.
that's where we'll pick up next week.
Oh, God.
What did the thing yell?
You
You
dare.
didn't yell anything. You just went. "Ugh."
Oh, no, I think Kyle's mic just cut out because he was too loud.
Oh my
I think
god.
he clipped.
Oof.
I knew that riverbed I did not trust.
As soon as he said horde, I'm like, this is a fucking dragon, isn't it? God damn it.
You don't know. You have to find out next week.
I know next week.
I'm gonna tame it.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm running. I'm sorry, I already said I will get off this fucking carpet.
So ends the tale of Hondo the Blue.
I have the
His
trait.
name John Doe?
Jondo the Brown.
John Doe.
Very happy I woke Allie up. Holy shit.
She's just sitting there like, well, this is going down.
You
It's like I wasn't
would
No
hear,
idea.
Allie would hear, you would hear the sound of like, and then the roar. That's where we'll kick off next week. You do hear that, though. So the three of you are aware, while the
Damn.
other three are asleep.
Damn.
Holy.
Could I be able to tame it?
A dragon?
Find her next week.
Find out next week. You guys,
But like,
so
I'm based on my abilities.
highly unlikely. However,
Could you tame me? I have nipples, Hondo. Could you tame?
I thought I have something to do with animals. I have some.
Yeah, but a
dragon's
dragon's
not
not
an
an
animal.
animal.
thanks for tuning in. Join us next time as the Wildcards are faced with an unexpected shadowy foe. There'll be a new episode up every Tuesday, so stay tuned. But until then, keep exploring.